Are you ready to listen to my dad Joe and Uncle Justin talk about sports? Now on with the show!
The Joe Mays and J-Raff Show is brought to you by Mays Sandwich Shop, which have been serving the greater West Lawn area delicious food for over 70 years. You are listening to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show.
Boring.
A weekly podcast about sports since 2011.
Don't you ever get tired of being wrong all the time?
With a focus on football.
Second and goal. Pass. Got it. Touchdown. This guy has had some year.
Al, I've got to tell you, in a pressure situation, I don't know if I have ever seen anybody be better than Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp. Wow, what a drive.
4th and 1. Burrow trying to keep it going, gets spun down, gets it away, and incomplete. Rams now running down to celebrate with a defensive play.
And guess who?
Of course.
I mean, you don't even have to think about it.
Pointing to the ring finger.
When everything was on the line for the Rams, yes, we know it was Aaron Donald.
But the Rams were built to win the Super Bowl, and they have sealed the deal.
Now, here are your hosts, Joe Mays and Justin Raffoff. Woohoo indeed! Hello and welcome back to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show. I'm one of your hosts, Joe Mays, and sitting down here just in time is the man himself, Justin Raffoff.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Fun night. Man, what a sports day. Here we go.
Yeah, let's do this.
With the first pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Trayvon Walker.
There we go.
Yes.
So we're not wasting any time. We planned that perfectly.
Yes.
To get started right as the first pick of the 2022 NFL Draft is in, and as had been the rumors recently, it is Georgia rusher, defensive edge rusher Trayvon Walker, the first pick in the draft. Now, Justin, for a long time, draft day had been like the biggest day of the year for me.
Yeah.
That rivaled, all the stuff that all you are when you're younger that you're interested in, Christmas and birthday and Thanksgiving,
I was
those
gonna
holidays.
make a joke about like if you're a Dolphins fan. I mean, what else is there? But I mean, I guess I kind of did make the joke now.
Yeah, you said it anyways. Thanks. But I over the last 5 years or so, my ability to follow it as closely as I did for about 20 years has fallen off drastically.
And, like, I don't think people understand. I'm sure some people do because they know you as well too. But the level at which you knew, like, we could sit here and honestly, until we're in like the 6th and 7th round, you knew like every player, and then you still knew the majority of those guys.
To be fair, I needed to because I worked for 8 years for Draft Tech,
right?
Which is
a
mock draft simulation site, which is still a great one. I good luck to the guys there tonight. It was actually 10 years ago this week that I was in Vegas for the draft. As in the draft is in Vegas tonight, happening right now. I went to Vegas to be with the guys from Draft Tech to work on our draft day mock and simulation. Like, it was paid for by them for me to go to Vegas. Only time I've ever been to Vegas. And it was for something related to the NFL draft. Now, 10 years later, the draft is in Las Vegas. I am not there, obviously. Though that would be cool. I was just talking to my dad today about...
By the way, Detroit has to take Aiden Hutchinson now, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Michigan
They'd be crazy
guy,
not to.
like-
They need that...
Right.
Even just that brand and marketing.
Right.
Plus, he's also a really good player. So
yeah, like it's a no-brainer.
Position of need, top-tier talent, local college guy.
Right.
Everything came together for them. But my dad was talking about where are some of these events going to be over the next few years and whatnot, relating to Super Bowl. It was actually started talking about the NCAA men's basketball tournament. He wanted to know when it was going to be in Philly next time. I was like, well, it's not scheduled to be in Philly at least the next two.
Well, they were in Philly this year.
That's what
Right,
brought it up.
right.
I said, so the earliest we could be looking at it back in Philadelphia is in 2025. That hasn't been announced yet. But I said, if anything, unless they're going to get back-to-back years, they need to wait till 2026
Right.
for the big
Right. They should do it.
whoop-de-doo for the 250th
Right.
anniversary of the country.
Yeah.
It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, kind of a big deal.
Which
yes.
we know Philadelphia is gearing up to host everything. They
Yeah,
want
they're
to.
trying to host it all.
So Super Bowl could be coming. I haven't
That
heard
would
any
be-
of that,
that would
but
be incredible.
that would kick off the 2026 year following the 2025 NFL season. That Super Bowl has not been awarded yet. Here is the Lions selection. So let me pull that back up for everyone that's watching along. One of the streams is delayed here. I'm not sure if it's the one we're watching or not, but yes,
Aiden
of course,
Hutchinson.
it is
There
Aiden
it
Hutchinson, and why wouldn't it be Aiden Hutchinson? You'd be crazy for it to not be Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
Yeah, so things have gone as expected, I guess I'd say so far. No huge surprises or changes or anything like that. So I don't want to get the band hammer, so I'm not going to keep the live feed up too long.
Right.
But so 2 edge rushers, 2 defensive ends, or pass rushing outside linebackers, Trigon and Aiden.
The cards, the playing card style.
That's cool. Yeah, that's really cool.
That's really cool.
That's awesome.
They should sell those as posters.
They should. And they probably will.
I
Why
would be
wouldn't
shocked
they?
if they didn't somewhere have those.
So, yeah, hopefully, I mean, I don't know if Philly will actually make a try for the Super Bowl. I would think they would want to host something, even if it's not the Final Four, at least some of the
Right.
rounds of the NCAA
Even if you were like
tournaments.
the East Regional that year. That
Right,
would be really
exactly. Then are they officially hosting the MLB All-Star Game, or are they putting in for it?
cool. I think they're putting in for it. I don't
Okay,
think
but
that's
I
been
feel like the
awarded
odds
yet. Yes.
Philly has not hosted it since '96, right?
Correct.
So I feel like the odds are in their favor.
Right.
They should put in to have the NHL draft again because
Especially also because once you start getting a few things, then the other things could start coming.
Right.
Like they could, and they're gonna play off of that.
well,
as
it was 3 years ago, right around this time, that this was kind of all announced.
Yes,
And think
yeah.
about at that point we were 7 years away. Now we're only 4 years away.
Right.
And they should put in for the NHL draft. Now I know people are like, oh, they were just hosted in 2014. Well, guess what? Montreal hosted it in 2009, and they're hosting it this year.
Right.
So there's a precedent there to have it every 10 to 12 years. And, if the big event happening that only happens in your country, those milestones basically every, 50 years or so,
Right.
it kind of makes sense. So they should put in for the NHL draft. They should put in for the NBA draft. They should put in for the NFL draft. I know they hosted it in 2017.
I know it won't work based on scheduling, but how cool would it be for All-Star events to be over 4th of July, in Philadelphia?
Well, the
for
baseball game will
Right.
be. Yeah, I think
Right.
I think that's why that's the marquee one.
Right.
Because they want to say, hey, let's have this either during or just
Or
after.
right after, right, yeah.
All the big events. I mean, there's been a Philadelphia is it sesquicentennial? Is that how?
Dude, you're asking
The
the wrong guy.
250th anniversary has been in development for the city of Philadelphia for I think already
Well,
a few
and
years.
They also may bid for the World Cup,
Oh right, that's
Right?
right.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. So
which will probably be announced relatively soon because
Yeah.
the 2022 World Cup
Is
is not this
delayed.
summer because it's in Qatar and it's 120 degrees out, so they're
Right.
playing in
November. Well, yeah, and actually the
because-
championship's on my birthday.
Right, because the U.S. plays their first game against England
On Black Friday,
On
right?
Black Friday, yes, the day after Thanksgiving. Perfect time. You've got the Thursday football games. You've got that. U.S. back in the World Cup for the first time in 3 times.
United States versus England.
Man, we already love that time of year. I know it's October when things are ramping up and football is really ramping up, but that through Thanksgiving time is incredible. And you add that in, and I know we're not huge soccer fans, but we both can appreciate and get wrapped up in those international competitions,
right.
And if
Olympics,
it's the U.S., even more so.
Olympics and World Cups, I generally prefer watching the Women's World Cup.
Yeah.
It probably has something to do with them being good and actually winning. The men have
Yes.
not have exactly been strong. It's been a while since they've made a name for themselves, but maybe 2022 will be different. We can hope.
Yeah.
But Yeah, so 2026 though is shaping up to be huge in this area, and I hope it. I hope they apply. Go for everything. Go do it.
put
Why
in for
not?
all
How
of it.
awesome would that be? Imagine. Can you imagine if we could get tickets to that All-Star game though, in July of 2026? Now that would be an event.
That'd be
That would
incredible.
be an event.
Yes.
All right, so Houston's on the clock now. We are here to talk about NFL draft. It's just we got to fill in the gaps. There's 15 minutes. Or is it 12?
I think it's 12.
Okay.
But like even the pick's in and they're still just
Well, they always
Right.
they always drag it out.
which is what they shouldn't do because I mean, I know they want to because they know people tune out after their team like if their team's done, like if you're a Texans fan, and I don't know if the Texans have another pick, I don't think
They do.
Oh,
Yeah,
do they?
they have two first rounders.
But like if,
Third
if,
and
if you're a
13th,
team
I
that
think.
doesn't, then I could see how you are like I could see how a casual fan would be like, oh, okay, and then like go watch something else. But that's not us. Like we're in it for the long haul.
Yeah, for sure. So who do we think's going to Houston here? I don't think they're going quarterback. I think they want to see
No,
what they
I don't
have
think
from
they're going
Davis
quarterback
Mills.
either.
Lovie Smith is their new head coach, which I had forgotten about until I started reading up on draft stuff.
Yeah.
I forgot that Lovie Smith was the new Texans head coach. So they are in the market for a variety of things. They
Yeah.
could go. Here
I
we go.
think-
They
I
could go
think-
offensive tackle, wide receiver, or defensive back. There was rumors
think-
that Derek Stingley was a possibility
Right.
here.
Yes.
We could also see one of the offensive tackles like Equan.
Yes.
Goodell is talking here, so let's pull it up. So here's our pick. It is Stingley.
Stingley Jr.
There it is. So there was talk that Lovie Smith loved him as a defender. He's a great defensive back.
Okay.
He was very, very highly
you think
rated
about
coming into his
when-
season at LSU this year.
I know everybody thinks of Deshaun Watson there, but like when Houston was good, their defense was not necessarily shut down defense, but they had some playmakers on defense.
They reminded me a lot of the Saints with
Yes,
their Drew
yes.
Brees in the early years when they
Yes.
went to the Super Bowl. The Saints,
Malcolm Jenkins the first time
yeah,
around.
they
those
gave up a
guys,
lot
yeah.
of points, but they really did well with turnovers and
right.
capitalizing in key spots.
Right.
Well, I mean, this Texans defense had J.J. Watt in his prime. You know,
Right.
that was a
Right,
big
exactly.
big reason for their success.
Yeah, I don't dislike. I mean, I think that's a good pick for them. Yeah,
He
I'm
was
a
thought of
little-
as a top 5 guy entering
I'm a-
this year.
Right. I'm a little like worried that. All right, well, that's one DB off the board already. I was kind of hoping the Eagles. Now, some people think the Eagles may move up if there's
Yes.
a guy there. Not yet, but maybe in another few picks. If there's a couple
Yeah.
of DBs there, they may try and move up again.
So Eagles related, they have 2 picks left. They had 3. They already made one draft trade to the Saints.
Right.
They have 16 and 18 right now.
They
Is
have
that
15 and 18?
15 and 18?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So the Eagles are at 15 and 18. They gave up 16 to the Saints.
Right.
So they had 15, 16, 18. They now have 15 and 18. But there's rumors that they could package 15 and 18 to move in the top 10 to get, I think, an edge rusher.
Right. Like people don't. Right. I know some people thought that they might try to go up and get
A wide receiver.
Sauce.
Sauce Gardner.
Sauce Gardner, or one
Cincinnati.
of those guys. But they said if they slide past like 5 or 6, like
I feel like
that's where they'd be looking.
the only reason to trade up to get someone would be for an edge rusher or an offensive tackle because they're in such high demand.
I agree.
And the wide receiver class is pretty deep.
Yeah.
So if they wanted a guy at receiver, they should just stay put.
Well, and they have the picks to do it because the Eagles have 3 picks in the first 2 rounds of each of the next 3 drafts.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, because of the shifting around in this draft. Yeah, they were really able to. So that trade with, who'd they get? Who'd they trade with the first rounds in this one?
Miami.
Yeah, no, like, I'm just trying to think. Who'd they give the third one, the other first round to?
The Colts.
Yeah.
So Philly has their own. They
Yes.
have Miami's and they have Indianapolis's. Then they traded. Whose did they trade? Who was supposed to be at 16?
I don't know. It wouldn't have been the Colts because the Colts just missed the playoffs.
Then they must have.
Or no,
it had to
what
be
is
the Colts because
The
Miami was
Eagles
15.
was the 18 or
Miami was 15.
Right.
Philly still has that. Indy was 16.
Right.
They traded that to New Orleans.
Right,
And Philadelphia is their
yeah.
own at 18.
So for the New Orleans one, like they got New Orleans like first round next year.
Yeah.
And like a second round the year after that. And that's where and they were able to stay ahead of them by staying at 15 in this one.
Now, obviously, everyone knows, and you know, I'm not an Eagles fan. To me, because of their needs, I would like them to stay where they are and get 2 guys.
Oh, 100%. They have plenty of needs. And I feel like they're in a spot right now where they need to build up the team. Like, there's lots of needs. Like, yes, they're okay, but, like, to make a step, they have lots of needs. And so with that, I wanted to see them take those 2 guys, and then you have your options. Like, you keep your options open, because by not moving up, you can get 2 guys who hopefully can both contribute. You can get another guy in the second round. You're not forfeiting those 6 first and second round picks over the next 2 years.
Right.
Yet. But you're in a position where if, like, you find yourself this year and you say, hey, Jalen's not our guy, or we're not sold that Jalen's our guy, then you still have the capital to move as needed next year in a deeper quarterback class, or a projected to be deeper quarterback class move, or you could go and trade for a quarterback with those things. Like, your options are more open because you didn't do it this year. And in the meantime, you still capitalized on the draft capital you had this year to build around whoever you have, and those guys are on rookie deals, so it could be cap favorable. If you did want to trade for an existing, a veteran guy, you just have so many more options if you don't trade up. Now, I don't know. I'd be really happy to see them like pick those 2 spots tonight. Now, if they traded up and got one of the big time guys in like the next couple picks, okay, and if they get a guy and he makes an impact, you know what I mean? If they get an edge rusher or someone in and he's getting sacks like crazy next year and changing the game, like, okay, you do what you got to do, but because you know what edge rushers do, they make your defensive backs better.
Yeah,
like
they do. You're right. At 15 and 18, you can get. You could possibly get Trent McDuffie.
Yeah.
And you could sit there for a bunch of wide receivers. Jamison Williams is probably gone. Right. Drake from USC, possibly gone. But there's a bunch of wide receivers in this draft that are very good. I think they thought that at least 5, maybe 6 could go in the first round. I think Philly's in prime position to get a defensive back and a wide receiver if they stay put at 15 and 18. But then they don't get an offensive lineman or a defensive end. Now, offensive lineman, you probably don't need someone at 15 to 18 because you have Lane Johnson and Mailata.
Right, and they took the center last year.
Right. So, and Dickerson, once healthy, was ready to rock and roll, and he was
and filled in at times last year. Yeah.
So, if I'm an Eagles fan, I hope they stay put and use those picks and not move up. But
I agree.
Let's see what happens here as the Jets are getting ready to announce their pick. Here comes the commissioner now. All right, let's see who it is.
They have to go wide receiver, right?
I mean, you would think. Oh, whoo!
All right.
There's the sauce. Ahmad Gardner to the Jets. So, instead of getting help for their second-year quarterback, Zach Wilson.
Now, they do pick
Jets,
at 10 again.
They do, yes, they do.
They could have had whatever wide receiver they wanted here, though.
Now they're going to have to sit and wait and see what other teams do. Now that this is the first of 2 Giants picks, 2 of the next 3 picks are from the New York Giants. So the Jets go with Gardner. So we have cornerbacks go back-to-back at picks 3 and 4. Interesting.
Went the wrong way.
He ran the wrong way? Is that what it's...
Yeah. He went to the wrong corner.
Yeah, those cards are cool.
How do you keep your composure when you're on that walk?
You don't, yeah. I can't imagine.
I mean, I say that these guys have been in big pressure situations, but like this is just life changing. Like
That's got to be one of the all-time highest picks of a Cincinnati Bearcat, I would think. 4th overall. Trying to think of some of the other
Probably.
big guys from Cincinnati.
right. There
'Cause
have
even
been
the
some big guys, but they aren't necessarily
weren't an
high
early
round
pick.
draft picks,
Yeah,
right.
weren't an early pick. So I would think he's got to be up there,
Yeah.
if not the number one, the highest drafted player out of Cincinnati. Unless there was a quarterback that I can't think of right now. So yeah, Ahmad Gardner. So we see 2 cornerbacks go back to back.
Yeah.
Position that the Eagles were, many thought would be interested in, but our good friend Paul Roberts from BurkeSportsReport.com put out a tongue-in-cheek question about a variety of things today, of what would happen first, and one of them was the Eagles take a linebacker in the first round.
I selected win Powerball.
Win the Powerball, yeah, I figured. I didn't end up answering it, but that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, I'll probably win the Powerball versus any of these other things. What was it? The Flyers be good next year?
Yes.
win the Powerball. Eagles take a linebacker in the first.
Okay, so in 1969, with the 5th pick, the Bengals took Greg Cook, who was a quarterback.
Okay, well, this is 4, so
Right.
this
That
this
beats
trumps that.
They had Bob Bell go, a defensive tackle, in 1971. I'm only looking at first-round guys here.
Yeah.
Let's see, keep going. Connor Barwin was out there, but he was a second-round pick. Yeah, there's definitely some guys but Travis Kelce was the first pick of the 3rd round.
Yeah, I knew Kelsey was from
That
there,
was
but
it.
I knew he wasn't
I
a
think
first
they've
round
only
pick.
had 2 guys go in the first round.
Well, there you go.
Quarterback in 1961 or whatever, but who went to the Bengals.
Sorry about that.
Oh, look at that. Look at that sauce necklace. That's crazy.
Good stuff. So, well, not only do we have the NFL draft tonight, the Sixers are playing in a game that they could send Toronto
I
home.
hope the Jets double down and take another defensive pick, because there's nothing like the talking heads in the media who are all Jets fans.
They take Kyle Hamilton. Dude, adding Gardner and Hamilton to that secondary.
Oh, it would be incredible.
But what do you do about offense?
Right.
Their next pick at 10 for the Jets, they got that for the Jamal Adams trade?
I think so.
So they would be essentially replacing Jamal Adams with Kyle Hamilton. If he lasted long, Kyle Hamilton could go in the next few picks as well.
Right.
That one time, Stingley and Hamilton were both expected to be top 5. Now, Stingley worked his way back up and ended up going 3rd. And now we got Sauce Gardner at 4. Giants and new head coach Brian Dable on the clock, and the pick is actually in. So what's going to happen with the G-men here?
Right? I mean, they took Kadarius Toney last year, but
what's going on with him? What a joke that's become.
Yeah.
So they're not going quarterback. I know they're not picking up Daniel Jones' 5th-year option.
No, they're not going quarterback so that they can go quarterback next year if they need to.
Yeah, so Dable's an offensive guy. I guess I wouldn't be surprised if this is an offensive lineman, a tackle.
They could use.
It could be.
They literally
Icky.
have needs everywhere.
Right. It could be Icky from NC State. He shot up draft boards over the last year, especially over the last 4 months. They got Andrew Thomas. Was that last year or was that 2 years ago now?
It was 2 years ago.
Was it 2 years ago?
Yeah.
So they did recently spend a first-round pick on a tackle.
They took him where the Browns, they took him when the Browns also took a tackle, but there were a bunch of teams that took tackles in that draft, and the Giants took
was
the
that
one
when
who
the
could have
Jets
gone.
took Mekhi Becton?
Yeah, but the Giants took the guy who they could have gotten.
Oh, here we go.
Way back.
Oh yeah, Tony was the Giants' pick last year. Thomas was the pick in 2020. Andrew Thomas, the tackle for the Giants. Then in 2019, it was quarterback Daniel Jones, and we know in 2018 it was Saquon Barkley, who hopefully can get rocking and rolling here. And adding another offensive tackle could help that in a big way. So here is Roger Goodell to announce the New York Giants pick at pick 5 in the first round. trying to figure out what's going on here.
I think that guy gets to announce.
New York Giants pick. I'm joined by Sam Prince, a lifelong Giants fan and Make-A-Wish kid.
Oh, awesome. So it's gonna the Giants pick is being announced as part of the Make-A-Wish program, which is awesome to see. Very, very excited Giants fan getting ready to make the pick, standing next to Roger Goodell in Vegas.
Transplant and feeling stronger than ever, as you can see.
Sam Print, that and the playing card thing, like that's so cool.
Yeah.
That is really well done from their media and branding.
Pick comes true. We hope this wish will be a turning point for Sam as he looks forward to being a sports
All right.
broadcaster in the future.
Here we go. Giants pick
Okay,
announced by Sam Prince.
your wish true, baby.
Thank you, Mr. Goodell.
Ooh. They go with Kayvon Thibodeau, who is an edge rusher. So we got another
And
edge.
It was a need for them. Like they were not able to get pressure on the quarterback last year or the second half of the year before, and it's definitely a need. And some people have him as better than the guys who went 1 and 2.
Trevon Walker and Aiden Hutchinson.
And it's interesting, and they talked about this, and it was also the case for Trevon Walker because they were talking about how, like, oh, his numbers weren't that great, but Georgia moved him all over the place. And they're like, he did it without complaining. Like,
Right.
he did it. Like,
So-
he fit into that defense. And to be honest, even before, and I know it's a little, like, it's a little bit, like, revisionist looking back, but there's always that video of, like, I want my team to be like this, where it shows the Georgia players, like, in each other's face, like, at the
Yeah.
goal line.
Yep.
And then, like, they make the play the next play because like they were just holding each other accountable. It wasn't fighting. They're just
No.
they were going
So
at it.
was-
Like
it was
it's intense.
Kind of like that video you sent me of the little rugby kid.
yes,
you know?
yeah. He's just in his face, like telling him what he needs to do or what he needs to hear, and he did it. Now there was also some of that with Kayvon Thibodeau, and he got nicked up early last year. But like I know one of the guys was like, yeah, well he takes plays off, and they're like, no, they're like I watched it, I studied the tape. His job on this play is to set the edge. Like is to set the edge, and like
Right,
other guys
do
are
your
making
job.
right, and he's doing
Do
his
your job.
He's not just a lot of people. How that is so
That
cool.
is awesome.
That's so cool. But to get to like a lot of people think, oh, these edge rushers just need to see the ball, get ball, and they don't necessarily all need to do that every play. That's not what they're supposed to do.
Well, what a moment for Sam Prince here, hanging out with the new Giants first-round pick, Kayvon Thibodeau from Oregon, who went basically wire to wire now as one of the most prolific football players in the nation, because I believe he was one of, if not the number one recruit coming out of high school, went to Oregon.
Doesn't always work out that way. Hey, there's a lot of high-rated guys, but not always the top guys.
Yeah, I don't know if he was
part-
number one,
in
but
part because a lot of the top guys end up sometimes are quarterbacks, and
right,
it's
yeah.
a bit of a
So Thibodeau was one of the top
Yes.
recruits in high school. He maintained that status at Oregon, and entering the post draft in 2021, Thibodeau was talked about as being a potential number one overall pick. People seem to cool on him a tad, dropping him down into the 5 to 10 range, but here he is on draft day being called by the New York Giants at pick 5. And like you said, the Giants needed anything and everything. They could pick any position, and you couldn't really have too many qualms with it.
right.
So the good thing for them, just like the Jets, they got another pick coming up in
Right.
the next pick. Like Carolina's
Right.
on the clock, and that pick will be in shortly. There's only about 3 minutes left to go. And then the Giants will be back up on the clock, and you could see them go offensive tackle or wide receiver there.
Right.
So a good run for Oregon in the early part of the first round of the draft. Lots of picks there in the top 10. So I did see a stat the other day of most players drafted, I think, in the modern draft, which I believe they mark as 1970 and forward, so the last 50 plus years now. And coming in at a healthy, I believe, 5th overall in total picks by school was Penn State.
Hey,
So
there we
I
go.
like to see that, especially staying in the top 5 with a little bit of a downtime in the early 2000s.
Right.
Well, even with the on-field results not being what we wanted, Penn State was still getting guys to the pros. It's just they were like the only high mark on the squad for a few years. But Penn State's still producing premier professional football talent. And
in the last 10 years, the only school to produce an offensive and defensive rookie of the year.
True.
Like,
You got to hold on to that one.
yeah.
Doesn't happen that often. So Penn State has the potential for 3 first-rounders tonight. I would think they would get at least one.
Yeah, I think they get one.
I don't think they get 3.
No.
I feel like the one most likely to do it is Dotson.
I agree.
Probably between pick like 22 and 30, I would say.
Yeah.
I know the Titans he's been mocked to the Titans a lot since they the trade for Julio didn't work out, and they also lost the guy that was playing next to A.J. Brown. He's gone. I think he signed with the Jets.
And the A.J. Brown thing is kind of weird now,
Well, they
too.
need to figure out what's going on with his
situation,
contract.
Right.
So Jahan Dotson was a popular pick for the Titans, and they pick, I think, at like 25. The other 2 Penn Staters potential to squeak into round 1 are edge rusher Arnold Ebiketie, which
I think he would be the second. If I had to rank him, I would rank him as second most likely to go. In the first round.
And then the next one is Jaquan Brisker, the safety.
And I think he could, but I think he goes early second round.
And I feel as though most mock rankings or mock picks and the draft prospect rankings have all 3 of those guys in the top 50 to 60 picks. So in terms of draft nicks, all 3 expected to be picked in the first 2 rounds, and there could be as many as 8 Penn State players selected in the draft, which continues at 7 o'clock tomorrow with rounds 2 and 3, and then at noon on Saturday with rounds 4 through 7. And each round has less and less time per pick, but it eventually starts coming super fast. That when you get into like round 5 and 6, ESPN NFL Network have to do like recaps of like 5 picks at a time because it's moving so fast they can't show all of the highlights and talk about each player because it's just so rapid fire. So they kind of do like a recap. But right now, the Carolina Panthers pick is in. They're the 6th pick in the first round. And again, I think we're both on the same playing field or expectations for this quarterback class. We're not that high on them, at least as in a top 10. Come in and make a difference right away. Honestly, there were some. I wasn't that high on the quarterback class last year, and I think they proved that on the field. Mac Jones is probably the best of the bunch. You had an up and down year from Justin Fields. Zach Wilson didn't do all that much. Trey Lance didn't have a lot of opportunities.
Right.
So, I mean, it was fine. It was what you'd expect a rookie quarterback class to be. It's just the one from 2020 kind of set the standard way too high for everyone with what Herbert did in his rookie season and then what Burrow did in his second season.
Right.
That it's tough for these rookie quarterback classes to stand up.
I heard someone say the other day, they said this, they said it knowing even what they know now. They're like, Jordan Love would be the first quarterback taken in this draft, is what they said. Like, and it's hard to argue that.
And he hasn't shown anything with the Packers in 2 years.
No. On the other hand, the Packers, like, what? They put him in a terrible, what a terrible situation to put him in.
So it's interesting. I don't know if you're able to Google this or see, but when was the last time the first 5 picks were all defenders? It sounds like head coaches and defensive coordinators are sick and tired of the offensive explosion that's been going around the league over the last few years with the increased spread attacks and also the NFL being a little bit more lenient on offensive players or more strict on defensive players.
It's one of those things that just doesn't happen that often. It didn't even come up like nothing even close.
So there you go. The Panthers do avoid going quarterback here at pick 6 as most expected, and here is Ike Ekwonu, the tackle from NC State. So our first offensive player is the big man from the Wolfpack.
Yeah, and staying in state, right down the road.
Good, great for them.
And that's good because yes, they need to figure out the quarterback situation there. But how do you figure out a quarterback situation? When you solidify your offensive line.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you need to do that.
So a big get for Carolina there. First offensive player taken, and it is a lineman. So now the Giants are back on the clock, and again, could we see another tackle go here? Charles Cross, I think, would probably be the
I
next
kind of want
one.
another tackle because I want
the receivers to keep
I
falling?
want receivers and defensive guys to fall. Like, I know a bunch of defenders already went, but none of them were really guys that I thought would be there when the Eagles, like, there haven't been really a surprise pick in terms of, like, there might have been a little surprise in order, but, like, all of these guys were expected to go high. So.
Right. Yeah, none of these have been off. I mean, we remember a few years ago with the Raiders, we were like, what is going on?
Yeah, a couple years in a row.
Yeah.
With the Raiders.
Now, I don't think we have to worry about the Raiders in the first round this year because of the Devontae Adams trade. But yeah, so Ikem Ekwonu, 6'4", 310, and is just an incredible athlete. And he has skyrocketed up the draft boards after his year with NC State, and then the pre-draft process was just phenomenal for him. It was someone that I did not know about until we got into January. I had never heard of him. It doesn't help that he plays in the ACC, and we don't get to see him in Big Ten or the Spotlight SEC games. But his film is
he
impressive.
plays for NC State. We don't even get him see him in the Spotlight ACC game.
That's true. You remember when NC State was good with
Yes.
Russell Wilson before he transferred, and then
Phillip
Rivers
before that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's crazy. Imagine being NC State and being like, you know what, Russell Wilson, we don't have a spot for you. He's a grad transfer. Like,
and then he went to Wisconsin.
I know.
It wasn't great for us.
No.
Not great.
Less than ideal. Thanks a lot, NC State.
Thank you, NC State. We appreciate it. So Giants here, again, they took Thibodeau just 2 picks ago, added a defensive guy. I feel like he should go offense here. You got to figure out if Daniel Jones has what it takes.
Although they might, I honestly feel like they've made up their mind on Daniel Jones.
Okay.
And I feel like they're in a, well, if he proves us wrong, we'll franchise him. Like,
well, right. I feel
so
like they went about this properly.
Oh, absolutely.
But I guess my thinking here is, do you go, okay, well, he's a lost cause. Don't give him help and make our defense better? Or do you add pieces so when you get a quarterback next year, they're already established and ready to go?
Right.
And what's going to happen with Barkley?
I think he'll be a free agent after this season, yeah. I don't think they keep him. He's a running back, man. I love Saquon. But you look at, he hasn't been able to stay healthy. And they're not going to pay him. He'll go somewhere. I hope he has a good year. But honestly, if he has a great year, I think it's less likely they pay him.
But they'll think it was a flash in the pan and he won't stay healthy?
Well, and just he'll be paid more, but like, yeah.
Well, they need help on offense. They're ranked 31st.
They were ranked 31st the last 2 years. Each of the last 2 years.
So they drafted Tony last year. They're
with
already
Joe Judge. Joe Judge was supposed to be their offensive answer.
They are already looking to trade Tony. They're looking to trade Darius Slayton. They moved on from Odell. It feels like forever ago now.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones is what he is. Saquon unfortunately can't stay healthy. They took Andrew Thomas 2 years ago.
He has the same thing he had at Penn State, where he's getting tackled when he gets the ball. Like,
right, which is my thinking of maybe they should go cross.
I think they should go offensive line, but
probably should. Let me pull up a big board here. I'll go to Draft Tech. Evan Neal too. I'm forgetting about the big man from Alabama. Yeah. Evan Neal still out there. Charles Cross is the one that I mentioned from Mississippi State, and so the best thing and what I was working on in Vegas when I was out there 10 years ago was the live mock draft that Draft Tech does, which is always a lot of fun. And Draft Tech nailed the Jaguars, Lions, Texans pick. So they got the first 3 picks. Oh, here we go. So we have the pick coming in for the New York Giants, and let's see who they pick. It is Evan Neal. So I was right with the position. Just forgot about Neal. Was thinking Charles Cross, but Cross is probably your next highest rated offensive tackle. So we were right. We were talking about the Giants taking tackle. We thought they could be Icky at 5, and now they go Evan Neal here at 7. So adding him to Andrew Thomas, having them as the
is 7
bookends.
the longest it's taken to get an Alabama guy on the board the last few years? It sure feels like.
It feels that way, doesn't it?
Look at him. The guy has to.
He's almost
he
touching
almost
the
has to
ceiling.
duck to get through. What a monster of a man! Oh my gosh.
All right, so let's see if I can pull up some. All right, so Atlanta's up next. Draft Tech is saying Kyle Hamilton out of Notre Dame. Atlanta's another team. I think Atlanta could be the worst team in the NFL right now. I feel like Matt Ryan hit a lot, but I feel like they're going to have I'm not a Mariota hater either. It's just I don't know what kind of
Does
talent
Mariota
they have
make
right
them better than they were with Matt Ryan?
now. I don't think so.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So it's tough for me to.
Evan Neal, 6'7.5", 337.
Is he the guy that was jumping out of pools or something, or
Yes,
doing that
I think it is.
So, I want to pull up a big board here, another big board. See where we're going. Where is final top 100? Okay. So, this is on the Draft Network now. Where is it? Do I need to log in to see that? Maybe I do.
I don't like to say it, but I feel like that was a really solid 2 picks by the Giants.
Yeah, there you go.
Can you tell there was a change in
in operations
front office there?
Yeah.
Jeez.
So Charles Cross is the highest rated guy left for the big board on the Draft Network. Let's see.
To be honest, I feel like Roger Goodell is a bigger dude than I probably give him credit for.
So it looks like Kyle Hamilton is best available from Draft Tech. So if the Eagles have their choice of wide receiver, say no receivers are picked before 15, which of the wide receivers would you want them to pick?
I want the kid from Alabama.
You want Williams?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there reason even knowing his he's coming off the ACL?
So I know he's coming off the injury, but this sounds crazy, but like ACL injury doesn't scare me away anymore. You know what I mean? Like, yes, it's a serious injury, but you know, just what they've proven. I'd be okay with Chris Olave. Like, I like Chris Olave too. I just feel like those guys. I don't know. The Alabama guys, the receivers have been so good. Like, and I think pairing him up with Devontae Smith, you know, we got Devontae Smith last year. Like, I just feel like they could really, really be a good fit. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking into it too much, but that's kind of where I would be.
I think as much as it would be cool to have Dotson go there, I don't know that's exactly what the Eagles need after getting Devontae last year.
Right.
But I do think Treylon Burks or Drake London or, like you said, Jamison Williams. It's fun to get former teammates together. Like, you think Devontae and Jamison would have fun there with Jalen Hurts running around. So, yeah. But again, a lot of good wide receivers available. You got to think that Draft Tech's got how many in the top 100? And they got 9 just in the wide receiver, and then the slot or speed guys. They got another. So they got 13 receivers in the top 100. A lot of these guys will be available when the Eagles pick with their first 3 picks.
Yeah.
So go back to Draft Tech and see what their live mock is predicting. All right, so they're still sticking with Kyle
As they
Hamilton.
were just saying, they could take anyone.
All right,
so.
here we go. So the Falcons have made their pick.
Drake
Ooh,
London.
and it
Okay.
is Jake London. So they were in desperate need of a wide receiver because, well, they lost Russell Gage, right? He left in free agency. They traded Julio last year, and Calvin Ridley is just suspended for an entire season.
Yeah,
So-
and Kyle Pitts, it was good. He had flashes, but they were so bad last year, it didn't really matter.
I do not think Drake's that happy about that.
Yeah, there are worse places to go than Atlanta, but you got to think, like, man, who's going to be throwing me the football?
He's
Well,
no-
Mariota, but, like,
He's now going from USC he's going from Southern California to Atlanta, Georgia, and
yeah.
he doesn't. There's no certainty for the future there.
No. And as a receiver, it depends.
I mean, they need him. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, if you're, that's a tough guy. I'm not high on Atlanta right now. I think that's a tough one for them. So, yeah, good luck. Good luck to Drake London, Trojans wide receiver, now Falcons wide receiver. Maybe they'll surprise. I'm just not feeling it with Atlanta. And I had been an Atlanta supporter for a number of years, even though I was at the beginning for many years. I was not on the Matt Ryan bandwagon. I'm not sure I ever got on the bandwagon, but I wasn't a hater anymore. I didn't stay in that area.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with the uniforms. You love when teams use the 3-letter abbreviations on the uniforms.
That was such a man. I understand as long as
especially in Atlanta, like Atlanta ATL is that's an actual thing. Like it's not.
The thing about uniforms is it only matters what your fans think. The people that are going to be buying them and supporting them.
Oh, absolutely.
If they don't like it, it's a bad uniform. If uniform critics don't like it, but the people that are supporting it love it, that's all that matters. And I know it seems, from what I can tell, Atlanta fans like them more than the general public does.
So there you go. That's good. Then yeah.
Now, I was a big fan of the Michael Vick era Atlanta uniforms. That's the one that I have the red Vick jersey. I wore that when they played the Patriots and should have beat them in the Super Bowl a few years ago. But I also love their throwbacks. I love the Falcons throwbacks, like the Deion Sanders era, or even before that when they had the red helmets. Super cool. So we got a lot of cool uniform stuff coming up. We were hoping more this year, but some teams have kicked it to 2023. But we know this year the Patriots are bringing back Pat, which is awesome because it was a great uniform.
See, I used to not be able to stand those uniforms.
Oh,
When
really?
we were younger, I didn't like them.
I like those. And we just saw the 49ers tweak their uniforms to bring back that font, that like stagecoach font.
Yeah, and the 3 stripes.
And the stripes on the sleeves. So good changes from the 49ers and the Patriots. We know the Eagles are introducing
To be honest, with the stripes
green.
on the sleeves, I hadn't really noticed that they weren't there, because when I saw it, I'm like, what do you mean they haven't had the stripes on the sleeves? Like, they need to have the stripes on the sleeves. Like, I'm like, whose idea was that?
I like the changes they made. I still like their 75th season throwbacks with the that they wore in the Super Bowl in '94. Those are my favorite 49ers uniforms. But what they are going to now, it's better. It's better. So, good stuff there. The Seahawks are now on the clock, and they have.
I love their highlighter green uniforms. Jamie can't stand them. I do like them.
No, Seattle needs to go back to throwbacks full time. They need the silver helmet with the old.
I'm like, it's overrated.
Well, so the Seahawk logo didn't change all that much. They just tweaked the colors. But I like the silver helmets. Again, but it fits in that Pacific Northwest ideology.
It does.
It fits in there
See,
well.
I like the patterned blue helmet that they have, like with the.
The stuff that Largent wore, like that's what I want to see when they were in the AFC.
They were in the AFC, yeah.
So, one of Marino's last few games over the last few years was against Seattle in the playoffs. I think I want to say like 96, 97. Yeah, it's funny. You could say I was old enough to remember when the Seahawks were in the AFC I was old enough to remember when the Houston Astros were in the NL.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm old enough to remember when the Phoenix Cardinals were in the NFC East.
Yes. Yes. Oh, I remember hearing about, and this is really early, but like I had stuff, like I had like things that had the Cardinals when they were still in St. Louis.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
older than you.
That's yeah. You're a lot older than me.
Yeah.
I mean, really, you think about it, you're 180 days older than me. So actually, not even that many. Not even that many. So it's
Yeah. So what's Seattle do?
Great question.
Again, lots of needs.
Honestly, to me,
I feel
offensive
like they should
line.
go offensive line.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let's see if Draft Tech is updated.
Although,
and
what would
they
the
get. Charles Cross
what would
be,
the irony be of them going offensive line immediately after they got rid of their franchise quarterback, who could have used line help forever?
Right. Well, we see teams do that all the time.
Yeah. Yep. By the way, last I checked, I'm gonna update it again. But last I checked, the Sixers were up.
Oh, nice.
The Sixers are up 23 with 9.5 minutes left. So I'm saying there's a chance, but I am not calling it anything because it's the Sixers. So
Excellent. So, I feel like they need Charles Cross.
yeah,
Like it makes too much sense for them to take Charles Cross from the offensive tackle from Mississippi State.
Right.
Then what do the Jets do? So they already got they could go Kyle Hamilton, like I said, because Kyle Hamilton's still sitting there.
No, see, we're getting dangerously close to me hoping Kyle Hamilton falls to 15. It's not going to happen. It won't happen. But I would love Kyle Hamilton at 15. I would love.
He's
Kyle
not
Hamilton
getting past Houston or Baltimore.
You shut your dirty mouth.
Or Minnesota. Honestly, Minnesota could use him too.
So here you go. What about Eagles trade with Joe Douglas next? The Eagles guy. He's an Eagles guy.
You're right.
He's a Howie protege.
But do you really want them to package 15?
No. I don't want them to. But I'm. This is me throwing out scenarios. I don't want them to. No.
Not a huge fan of the NFL's font they've been using for the draft. It has like the weird like. It just went by on Green Room. Let's see if it pops up again. But I was just thinking
Kyle
that
Hamilton looks like he's 17.
as cool as
Jermaine
Johnson
looks like he's 27.
he kind of reminds me of Aaron Donald.
Yes. More of a neck than Aaron Donald.
So I applaud the designers for the playing cards. Very cool aesthetic.
Yes.
Not a fan of the font that they're using in official NFL promotional material. Let's see if it pops up again here. It's on signage. It's on signage. It's kind of clunky to me. I'm trying to. There's the playing cards. I don't see any.
I'm a huge fan of those playing cards.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Yep. All right, here we go. So the Seahawks pick is in.
Is that it? Like that NFL?
No,
like,
no. No, that's like a neon. I'm fine with that. So here we go. Roger Goodell is announcing the Seattle Seahawks selection with the 9th pick in the first round.
Charles
It
Cross.
is Charles Cross from Mississippi State. This is a good selection from them. Again,
Yes.
now Russell Wilson's like, what the? It's on that sign. The green room. Do you see how it's
yeah.
It might. There's a big one that they walk by.
Yes.
It's just not
I think
my favorite.
it's kind of like
take the stage.
Yeah, it's kind of modeled after like the signs.
Is that
of,
what it's supposed
of,
to
like
be?
Vegas?
Okay.
I think.
I don't mind the neon properties. It's the weird like loop they do in the
Yes,
E's.
yes.
There's like I don't know. It's like spiky.
Right.
Playing cards, awesome.
Like I would rather it
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
be like neon signs. Like
Yeah,
then I
that
would
would've been
understand. Like
awesome.
okay, you need
Here,
the
there,
tube to
take
continue.
the stage. Yeah.
Yep.
It says
I
green
gotcha.
room. Yeah, the green room's huge. You can really see
Yeah.
it.
It's like a conference room.
Yeah.
Well, they invited a ton of players, I think, this year.
You might have walked by it already. I'm just imagine getting one of those playing cards that's like actually there, getting the pick to sign it,
I say like they should sign them and then
and auction them
And
off
auction 'em
for
off.
Make a Wish.
yeah.
That was free, NFL. If you want more great ideas, you know who to hit up right there. Yeah. Oh yeah. So take the stage.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, it's just not
I
my
think
favorite.
right.
Just weird, like this, like weird spoke inside some of these things. All right, so Charles Cross is the pick, which means the New York Jets are back on the clock. with Kyle Hamilton sitting there with their pick of wide receivers, except for Drake London.
They got to go wide receiver. They don't have to.
Yeah,
But I feel like
let's
they should.
consult the experts here. So, the best available player, according to the Draft Network, is Jermaine Johnson, the edge from Florida State, who we just talked about. Said he kind of looks like Aaron Donald. Jameson Williams and Kyle Hamilton would be the next two.
Are there any TCU wide receivers available? They're going to start. Who underwhelmed their senior season?
So Draft Tech predicted Charles Cross of Seattle. They got that. They say Jets go Jameson Williams. So like you said, they need to go wide receiver, right? So that is the possibilities there.
I mean, it would be very Jets-like to take a wide receiver that can't play at the beginning of the year. Like that. That would be very
Jets.
Very. Yeah. I think I sent it to you. The one article that was titled like how players' injury history impacts Eagles like views of them in the playoffs or in the draft. And I was like, spoiler alert, it doesn't. Like Eagles like if there's a team that will draft you even if you have an injury history, it is the Eagles. Like
so exactly what you said when we talked about what should the Seahawks do, get offensive line help because they need it. Bill Williamson said, Seattle finally invests in a top O lineman for Drew Lock. Oh, it's amazing what some of these teams think of or don't think of. All right, so let's see what is happening here.
that's a good picture. There. Banner picture.
My banner picture?
Yeah.
Thanks. That was after the 75th anniversary celebration that we had back in February. So, good stuff. All right. So, the Jets already have their pick in. So, who do they go? We just talked about wide receivers are option. Both Ohio State wide receivers, Wilson and Olave. We talked about Jameson Williams.
I think Wilson is who they pick here.
That you think they go Wilson?
Yeah, I think they do.
Okay.
Let's see.
Yeah. I mean, again, they need help everywhere.
Yeah.
Jets were what? Were they 4-13 last year?
I think so.
Somewhere around there. I mean, Zach Wilson has to play better. You need some help there.
Right.
It's
and
too
it's
early for running back.
Lowest passer rating when under pressure in the league. Some of that is like if you're under pressure and there's nowhere to throw it, like what do you want him to do?
Right.
Like I'm not a huge Zach Wilson like fan, but like I don't know that it would have mattered which of the rookie quarterbacks went there last year. They were set up for failure.
Right. It would have been tough. So
well, same with Trevor Lawrence. Like you and I have been on the record for saying like, whoa, pump the brakes a little bit. He could be awesome, but like we just don't know. But like on that team, like in that situation, no one was going to be successful last year.
Yeah, not at all. All right, so Roger Goodell is at the mic announcing pick number 10, which goes to the New York Jets.
Garrett Wilson.
And you nailed it. It is one of the Ohio State wide receivers. Garrett Wilson is a New York Jet. He will team up with Zach Wilson to see if they can get anything going for Gang Green, which I believe has missed the playoffs for 11 straight seasons.
Wow.
So not disappointed in. It's fine with me.
So I feel like I remember one of the years the Jets were in the playoffs. I watched from like this little like pizzeria in Providence, Rhode Island. I was up there for water polo in the snow, and like one of the a dad of one of the players took me and another one of the coaches out like for pizza because no one's from town. We were at Brown and like watching it like the Mark Sanchez Jets, in the playoffs like. It's just one of those like crazy. It's hard to believe like they haven't been good since then.
Yeah, so I remember I was
and here you go. And I heard a lot about this year, like because it used to be like, oh, the Jets are the joke. In that same time, the Giants haven't been any better.
No,
like they have both been. They're like statistically equally bad.
So I remember when they were really good with Bill Parcells in the late 90s. Was it like 98?
Yeah.
With Vinny Testaverde?
Yeah.
And they got upset, I think, by the Broncos in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I was thankful because I hate the Jets. As a Dolphins fan, I was very thankful. All right, we can turn off that highlight.
Yes.
I need to watch that. Say that I can go bye-bye.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Good
Well, and
stuff.
you know what else? Like, I don't mind seeing guys that I think are pretty good go to the AFC. That's perfectly fine.
You mean like the entire offseason exodus of all the good quarterbacks?
Yes, exactly.
All right, so who's on the clock? Oh, the Commanders are on the clock. Washington making the pick. So you get a couple.
Take a quarterback.
You saw 2 Giants picks already. Now you got a Commanders pick. But the Eagles are they're lurking there in the background. They didn't move into the top 10.
When was the last time a quarterback didn't go in the top 10?
Let's look it up. It's a good question. So let's check out some of this NFL draft history as we continue here in the first round. Garrett Wilson to the Jets. Washington Commanders now on the clock. We'll see what they're able to establish. So,
the trade.
oh, hello. Saints move up. Saints have leapfrogged the Vikings, Texans, Ravens, and Eagles.
Kyle Hamilton.
Quarterback?
Could be. See, I'm thinking Malcolm Jenkins just left.
Kyle Hamilton, they saw
Retired.
falling.
He didn't leave, but I just. Defensive coordinator is now your coach.
Yeah. So Dennis Allen's the new head coach, and he's been their defensive coordinator for a number of years now.
I'll be honest. Like, I kind of go with I roll it with Jameis this year. I don't know that Jameis. Well, I do know Jameis is not going to be a top 8 quarterback. 8's a random number, but like a top 8. But like, I think at his best, Jameis can be good enough, especially if your defense is good. They could also use a wide receiver, especially not knowing, what the situation is like there. Like there's a bunch of needs in New Orleans. Like I kind of put them in the same class as the Eagles. You have a plan at quarterback, but not necessarily a long-term plan right now at this moment. And you have plenty of needs, even though you were a back-end playoff caliber team, even though they missed out. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
So.
All right. So.
Well, and I'm assuming they switched picks in the first round with the Commanders. So the Eagles are now ahead of the Commanders, which I also like.
I'm looking for this last time a quarterback wasn't taken in the top 10. I'm clicking on all of them just to make sure, but I know a lot.
I'm sure there are some, but like I just.
Well, I'm back into 2013. Oh. 2013.
Okay.
There was no quarterback selected until 16. Coincidentally enough, E.J. Manuel, which Justin and I didn't talk about it. Justin brought it up today as our good friend Adam was.
I had started to look up.
poking.
I had started to look up Dolphins ones too, and I was like, nope, I'm gonna drag you into this. And I was like, no, I won't do that. Like, because you actively tried to remove yourself.
I was like, oh, leave me out of this conversation.
Right. I'm like, if you wouldn't have said anything, then I feel like it's fair game. But when you say, I don't want to be a part of this, okay, like you're saying, I am removing myself from this. Like,
to be fair, that was mostly directed at Adam, not at you.
Well, and to be fair, like, I have no, like, comeback to that. Like, the E.J. Manuel thing was a decade ago, and they have a great quarterback now. You know, like, I would love for the Eagles not to wait a decade, but to have a great wide receiver. You know, Devontae Smith is really good. But
so, in 2013, the Kansas City Chiefs had the number 1 overall pick, and they selected Eric Fisher. Still in the league. He left the Chiefs and went to the Colts, though I think he might be a free agent again now. Luke Jokel was number 2 to the Jaguars, and this one is so upsetting because I thought this was so stupid. The Dolphins traded up to 3 with Oakland to get Deion Jordan.
Yes.
The Eagles then took
Which
Lane
I thought
Johnson.
the Eagles were going to get Deion Jordan because that was Chip Kelly's first
Kelly.
year. Yep.
Eagles took Lane Johnson. Detroit Lions went Ezekiel Ansah. Cleveland Browns, Barkevius Mingo. Cardinals, Jonathan Cooper. Rams, Taven Austin. Jets, D. Milliner. Titans, Chance Warmack. Chargers, DJ Fluker. Raiders, DJ Hayden. Jets, Sheldon Richardson. Panthers, Latulele. Saints,
Pick is
Vaccaro.
in.
And then finally, Bills with AJ Manuel at
I
pick
think
16.
wide receiver or Kyle Hamilton go here.
So there's the trade between the Saints and the Commanders.
Okay,
the
so they
Saints
got the
the
16th.
11th, and then the Saints earned the 11th via the trade with the Commanders, who got the later pick in the first that the Saints just got from the Eagles, while also picking up 3rd and 4th rounders this year.
Yeah.
So right now, okay, so in 2013, the first quarterback pick was at 16. That is where the Commanders are now picking, correct?
Yeah.
Does a quarterback go before then? Vikings,
So let's see.
Texans,
Vikings.
Ravens, Eagles, Commanders.
I don't see. Well, so here we go. Saints could take one, but I'd be surprised. Okay. Minnesota could take one, but I'd be surprised. Houston, I don't think they take one. I mean, although if you were going to take one, this is the one to take one, not with your earlier pick. Baltimore doesn't take one. Although, you want to throw some gasoline onto the Lamar contract talks, like, there you go.
Right.
But people can have lots of opinions about Lamar. He's won MVP. Like, you'd be foolish to move on from that, in my opinion.
I'm still looking to research in case the quarterback doesn't get picked by the Commanders' pick. We could be looking at a pretty
Historic night.
Yeah. Pick is in, so we'll see what happens. So I'm all the way back in 2004, and obviously we know all about the 2004 quarterback draft class. I'm about to enter the old millennium. Oh, here we go.
They're booing the Amazon announcement.
Is that?
So.
Okay, here we go. 2000, pick 18. Chad Pennington to the Jets.
I did not know Chad Pennington was a first-round pick.
Yes.
So imagine first-round pick at 18, and it's at a Marshall.
And it's after a kicker. Janikowski.
All right, so I've got a story for you about Janikowski sometime. I need to think through it before I tell it here. It actually relates to the time I was in Las Vegas. But the Sixers, under 4 minutes, are up 27. So,
okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's see. Just real quick, I want to give you some stats from that. All this goes. Embiid had 33 points, Maxey with 25, Harden with 22. And Harden, 7 of 12 shooting. Maxey, 5 of 11 from three-point range. Like, there you go.
Is it over or how close?
No, 4 minutes left, but they're like you're getting it done tonight. Basically went with only 6 guys have played over 10 minutes. Now, yeah, that could change. Paul Reed and Shake Milton could both get there. Actually, Paul Reed is the only one that could get there. So shortened the bench a little bit. They brought the intensity. Good job, Sixers.
Yes. Good job. Close it out. Get a little rest. Who do they play next?
The Heat.
It will be the Heat.
Yeah. So, well, to be honest, they played really well in four of the 6 games. The 4 games they played well, they won. 2 games they did not play well, they lost. So.
All right, so the Saints pick is Chris Olave.
They like those Ohio State wide receivers.
Back to back. Interesting.
Michael Thomas is supposed to be there.
From one Ohio State receiver to another. Well, Michael Thomas did himself in by waiting forever to get his surgery last year. Like, what was that about?
Yeah. So I know you don't, but in the mornings I listen to Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max on ESPN.
No way.
Okay, so listen. I have been pleasantly surprised with that show. Like, I thought there is no way this is going to work, but it's on in the morning, so I listen to it, and I've been pleasantly surprised with all three of them actually. Like, Max Kellerman is a guy who I couldn't stand. I liked Max Kellerman when he started around the horn. And then he went off and did his own other things, and I did not like him. And he still drives me nuts, but well within the range of, like, what you'll accept from a sports radio person. You know what I mean? Like, Keyshawn really surprises me. Like, just in terms of, like, I feel like he's in that format, he's able to explain his takes on lots of things. And so, like, it's just different. But anyway, like, Michael Thomas is his nephew. All right. So they just always joke whenever it comes up, like, oh, is Michael Thomas going to be available? He won't say anything. Like, he just doesn't say anything. They're like, I don't know, Key, is he? Is he going to play this year? You know, like, they just always turn to him. Like, is he going to play this year? Who's going to be the coach? Is he going to stay? You know, like, they always put Key in an impossible situation because even if he knows, he can't say.
Yeah, he can't.
But, like, it just always reminds me of that.
So you know how there's and this goes into a variety of sports, not just at college football. You and I have been like, Bo Nix, hasn't he been at Auburn forever?
Yes.
Chris Olave at Ohio State is the same thing.
Another trade.
Trade. So Detroit move up.
Do they take a quarterback?
Are they looking QB, or are they going Kyle Hamilton? So they moved up with Minnesota. So Minnesota dropped way back. Minnesota dropped to 32.
Wow.
Whew. Wow. Ugh, let's not talk about Ted Ginn, please. It's still rough. I remember I was April 2007. Yeah, basically the end of my time at Penn State. I was about to graduate, and we were at a picnic for the Penn State College of Earth and Mineral Science Thon Committee with our Thon family, and it was the day of the NFL draft because back then it was on a Saturday. It started on a Saturday. Man, you remember that before they decided to capitalize on it and move into the prime time and just to start on a Saturday?
Right.
And I think I got called by my dad because he knew we were at a picnic, so not around the TV. Not too many people I would do that for, but the Brewers, our Thon family, is one of those. Missed the NFL draft, especially back then, because that was like right in the thick of things,
right.
And when we were like, I was hardcore into it. And my dad called, and the Dolphins were on the clock, pick I think 9, and he tells me that it's
the Eagles moved up.
Ted Ginn?
Eagles moved up to 13.
Whoa. Okay. What is going on?
How do they move up when they don't know who's available yet?
Maybe they do know who the Lions do.
They might know who the Lions are taking, yeah.
But the Eagles still have 2 first-rounders. The crazy things are happening right now. I know picks have been getting spoiled on Twitter, so I don't want to pull it up.
Yeah.
I want to see this. I want to see it get announced live. So the Lions have moved up with the Vikings, who have dropped to 32nd. So Minnesota won't pick until the last pick of the first round. So here we go. The Lions are getting a 12th and a 2nd, and the Vikings are getting the 32nd overall, a 2nd, and a 3rd. So the Lions dropped 12 spots in the 2nd round and gave up their 3rd rounder to move up from 32 to 12. That's not a bad deal for them, especially if they are targeting someone that they think can really turn their team around. Best available, though, I would think at this point is probably sitting Kyle Hamilton or Jermaine Johnson, the edge rusher from Florida State. Jermaine Johnson, Jamison Williams, Kyle Hamilton, all there. All quality players.
Here we go. Here's the Lions.
All right, Lions pick is in. Let's get it up. Let's take a listen. Jameson Williams, Alabama wide receiver. So the Lions saw a run on wide receivers happening with the two
That's who
Ohio
I
State
wanted.
going. And the Detroit Lions move up to take Jameson
And
Williams.
tell me it wouldn't be like the Eagles to think they were going to get Jameson Williams and trade up to 13. Although maybe they
feel like I give them the benefit of the doubt and say they knew it was Williams, and maybe they're moving up to get another wide receiver.
right
Because they saw three of them going well.
and there could have been at that spot. There could have been a lot of people calling because the run on wide receivers has started. You know what I mean? Like,
So now the question is, do they go Dotson? Do they go Traylon Burks? I don't know that you could justify any of the other ones in the first round.
honestly, I'd rather go. What I'd like to do.
Christian Watson maybe, but I feel like he's a more of an unknown.
I'd rather take Kyle Hamilton and then get a receiver at the next one and kind of take who's there. And if Dotson's there, great. If he's not, you can kind of look. If not, get an edge rusher or someone. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's my take.
Do you think they want Jermaine Johnson?
I'd take him. I don't know.
What about Kyle Hamilton? Would you be happy with Kyle Hamilton?
I would love Kyle Hamilton. Honestly, I would lean Kyle Hamilton here. That's what I would like. I know they could use wide receiver, but like I would like
My favorite defensive player in the draft is Devin Lloyd, the linebacker from Utah. For some reason, I feel like he's going to go to Baltimore because I feel like Baltimore always takes the guys that I want.
Right.
The Dolphins aren't getting Devin Lloyd. They don't have a pick until 102. But so we have Tyreek Hill. I'm okay with that. But Devin Lloyd is a player that I think could be really good. There was a bunch of years where the Ravens just kept drafting guys, and it was like linebackers that I wanted. They took C.J. Mosley. I was so high on him coming out of Alabama. And he had a great 4 years with Baltimore, and then they let him go when he went to the Jets. Super weird. But so Jameson Williams goes to the Lions at 12, who traded up from 32 to get him. Of course, they had pick 32 from the Rams. Was that part of the Stafford deal? The Matthew Stafford deal? Is that why they had that pick? I guess that probably would be left over from the Stafford deal. Worked out for both parties. I mean, the Rams won the Super Bowl. Detroit starts to rebuild, and they're able to add Jameson Williams as a result of that. So he did obviously tear his ACL, and he's still recovering. But like Justin said, that doesn't worry people too much anymore. It's not even 20 years ago. It's much different than it was then. So we'll see what happens here, as supposedly the Eagles are on the clock now. Hopefully we get information on their trade package and what happens. Did they keep the next pick? The pick is in.
I would hope so, because like that would be a really steep price.
So
to
they
pay
moved
to
from
jump
15 to 13
at this point. You know what I mean? Like to move to looking at what was just given up.
My guess is they gave up like a third.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that. I'd be fine with giving up a third.
Do we think this is a receiver though, or do you think it's Kyle Hamilton
I hope it's Kyle Hamilton, but I don't think it is.
or Jermaine Johnson?
I think it's Jermaine Johnson.
You think it's Jermaine Johnson? So, Jermaine Johnson, Kyle Hamilton, Andrew Booth. I can't see it being an interior offensive lineman. I know Kenyon Green and Tyler Linderbaum are out there. Do you think it could be one of the Georgia defensive linemen? They got two of them sitting out there too. Devontae Wyatt and Jordan Davis. Maybe it's Kenny Pickett.
If it's Kenny Pickett, I'm gonna need a moment, and I'm gonna have to walk out for a minute. Like I'm serious, because like I say that jokingly, but like I'm not at all confident it's not a quarterback. Like because they're a quarterback factory, man. That's what Howie said.
Get
Howie
Malik
went on
Willis
record.
and then Kenny Pickett in 5 selections.
Deep breaths.
Put all the chips on the table.
Deep breaths.
That'd be a 3-ring circus right there. I'm gonna play.
Somewhere, our buddy Dustin would be having a meltdown.
So I'm gonna since Eagles aren't my team, I don't have to feel cynical
Hey,
about it.
here we go.
I'm gonna say
while I can. Phillies won today. Sixers are gonna win, and the Eagles have yet. Well, the pick is in, but it wasn't announced yet. It's probably out there on Twitter, but are yet to screw up the draft yet. I'm just gonna enjoy.
You can't look at your phone until we see the pick.
I'm gonna enjoy this moment while I can.
All right, then I'm gonna to keep the mojo flowing. This is gonna be Kyle Hamilton.
I'd be really pumped if this is Kyle Hamilton.
And then they take Dotson with the next.
So
pick.
here's the thing.
I don't think
I love Dotson.
I don't think he fits what Philly needs.
But I always worry about Eagles taking Penn State guys because I want the Penn State guys to be good, and if they're not, it's like
a
double
sword. Yeah. I don't think Dotson is what the Eagles
and
need.
I know it would be a little high
maybe,
for him.
Maybe it's Ebiketie at 18.
I'd be okay with that. What if
Hamilton
What if
and
at
Ebiketie?
18 it was like Nakobe Dean? I know that's a reach
he's
for him
been
a little
so
bit.
up and down.
Right.
But
or the kid from Utah, like
Devin
you just
Lloyd.
said.
Devin Lloyd.
I'd be pumped.
Yes.
He's not getting past Baltimore though, most likely. Although Baltimore could use a wide receiver too.
Yeah. Oof. Come on, give us this pick. This is a big one. I want to see this one. So I'm going to go over some of my other favorite players that haven't been picked yet. Kyle Hamilton, Tyler Linderbaum, the interior offensive lineman from Iowa, Devin Lloyd from Utah, Nakobe Dean. I do like Nakobe Dean from Georgia. I also am a big Zion Johnson fan, Boston College. Obviously, I'm a Jahan Dotson fan. Trent McDuffie.
You know who I think could be a really good pick, and it's probably going to be a little later than had it been anticipated, is Ojabu from Michigan.
I think he's going to go in the second.
Right, and I think he's got the potential to be really good. He's still really raw, but he has the potential to be really good. But that injury, that's awful. You feel bad for the kid.
Absolutely.
In his pro day,
yeah,
I want to see what the Eagles gave up
I know.
for this.
I want to see what happens.
They still have him slotted there at that 18th pick. So
trying to figure out if I need to leave up or if I can or shouldn't leave up the draft to change things and go sit over by the television. But so ESPN has the Texans get 15, a fourth, and 2 fifths. Oh my gosh, they gave up nothing to move up 2 spots.
Yeah,
a fourth and 2 fifths.
Right. Yeah, sounds good. By the way, and I know it's not there yet, but this guy who's talking for ESPN right now, what's his name? Lewis, I forget his name.
I didn't see who it was.
It's the guy from Pitt who I say I like. He was on Monday Night Football.
From Pitt, and you like him?
Yes, I know, but he's actually the Pitt commencement speaker on Sunday, I think. And he should be the Steelers GM. But
interesting.
Yeah, that's my take. And
Riddick?
Yeah, Louis Riddick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know. I like him. Yep.
Which says a lot if you're from Pitt.
I know, right? All right, here we go. There's
more people on stage. That means it's going to be another 5 minutes till we hear. Oh, I got my notification. Sixers won 132-97. Won by 35. Way to get it done. Come on, Eagles. Keep this Philly day going.
Don't mess this up. So we're gonna do this. Here we go. Here we go. So we're not. Oh, the live feed on ESPN failed us. So here. Oh.
Congratulations to all of you on your accomplishments.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Tell us who they picked.
Or don't tell me. I'm nervous.
With the 13th pick In the 2022
Here we go.
NFL Draft,
Here it is.
the Philadelphia Eagles select Jordan Davis.
Oh, I told you.
You did. You did.
Now, I don't think they needed to trade up for him, though. That's the thing that now I'm thinking, why do you make that trade? Why do you move up to... Now, they didn't give up anything major, so it's
Right,
not that
right.
big a deal. But, I mean, he's going to be the seen as the replacement for Fletcher Cox, right?
Right. Yeah.
I know they're not exactly the same. but
No, they aren't. But
Cox is more 3-4
and
defensive end, but...
I'm okay with that. I'm okay.
The nice thing is they still have another pick to get that wide receiver, defensive back.
Yeah.
That's a very Howie pick, though.
That is.
Defensive
That is.
lineman.
Right. And I saw this thing the other day, and you may have seen it too, but it said, people bring up passing on DK, but everyone passed on DK. They said the bigger one was taking Derek Barnett over TJ Watt. That was the bigger mistake for the Eagles in the draft. Now, here's the thing.
At first, I was thinking JJ. I was like, that wasn't the same draft.
But whenever I think of TJ Watt in college, I think of Saquon burning him on the wheel route.
I think of that Wisconsin Big Ten championship game. Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you 100%.
Where he wasn't even close to the best defender on the field in that game.
Right. No.
In that game.
And now, I mean, he's more than proved it.
Absolutely. But I'd put Marcus Allen, like those guys, some of those Penn State secondary guys who really turned it up and made big stops
in
down
that
the stretch.
game,
in that
Penn
one
State
particular game. TJ Watt is the best player out of that game as of right now. He's the best player. Just had 20 some sacks this year.
Yeah, it's absurd what he was able to do once he got to the NFL. So, how do you think the isn't there a Watt brother that hasn't been named Player of the Year?
He's also on the Steelers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's kind of like when all the Gronkowskis were in the league, and you had Rob, and then you had the other Gronkowski.
Yeah, the others.
Albert Hainsworth. Hey, you get that 3-4 year period of Hainsworth down in Tennessee. He was the best defensive player for a few years.
That's pre-face stomping, right?
Yes,
Pre-face stomping.
Exactly.
Yeah. Think about that now. I know social media was around then, but
It's
think
not
about
the
that
same.
now.
Social
if
media
that
has
happened
gotten
now,
way different in the last
if
5 or 6
if
years.
that happened now,
How long ago was that? It was 2012?
Right, I'm guessing that was about 10
12
years ago.
Jeez. So, one thing about Jordan Davis is he played on the national championship team and was one of the best players on that defense.
Right, he's one of the best players on the best team with the best defense in all of college football.
And he was a big reason why.
So,
it's not a bad pick.
It's not bad.
Not
no.
a bad pick. It's just it's a Howie pick. It's an Eagles draft pick.
And
avoiding linebackers.
Because they didn't have to give up anything to go get him, that gives me the message that he was a guy they were targeting.
They probably had him ranked in
that.
their top 10.
I'm okay
and
with
they were
that.
able to get him at 13. So, yeah, it is
now,
what it
does
is.
Baltimore maybe take Hamilton? I know they've got guys, but the way injuries hit them last year, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you said Ravens could use wide receivers. I feel like the Ravens are always...
I feel like if the Ravens are healthy, they could be a team that makes a deep playoff run in the AFC.
They take Kenny Pickett.
Oh, gosh.
We're just going to let Lamar walk after this year.
Oh, my gosh.
They
trade him to the Dolphins for all of their first round picks forever.
Wait, who? Lamar or Pickett?
Lamar.
Oh,
no, better yet, Pickett.
Oh, I hit that button again. No, not Pickett. No. Honestly, the Dolphins with Lamar and the guys that they had, Lamar Jackson with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and Mike Gesicki.
Yeah.
If the Dolphins could, if Teron Armstead stays healthy and they can figure out the offensive line, that could be a good offense.
Yeah.
Even not in the crazy reality where apparently Lamar Jackson is now in the Dolphins. with Tua in year 3, that still has a good chance of being an interesting offense. So, Yeah, what are the Ravens? The Ravens need defense. So Kyle Hamilton
They
would
also
make
need
a lot
offense.
of sense. I think they're okay offensively.
I don't think they are. Their best wide receiver is
They-
like 5 foot nothing.
They just said they finished 6th in the league in offense.
I don't believe it.
Oh man. So they could go Jermaine Johnson, Kyle Hamilton, Andrew Booth. I don't know that. I mean, I think they're in the market for offensive tackle, though I don't know that they would go offensive tackle because of. I think the top ones have all been taken. I think
Talk about their first round pick last year, Odafe Owe,
who had a
Stater,
huge
who was
year.
incredible. Yeah,
huge year.
And Patrick Queen the year before that, man.
Right. So I mean, they have some young studs on defense, courtesy of the first round. But you're right. They have Mark Andrews and Hollywood Brown, but they could use another guy. Well, they drafted
the kid from
Bateman?
yeah,
from
but
Minnesota,
he didn't
right?
Do anything?
Well, he was injured.
Yes.
Like how many of the Ravens?
How
last
many
year?
guys do we see kill Penn State and then not do anything?
All right. Well, here we go. We're gonna find out quickly what the Baltimore Ravens are doing. Roger Goodell is on his way to the podium.
Ravens make so many good early picks.
That's why this would be Kyle Hamilton,
Yeah. Or the kid from Utah, like you said.
Devin Lloyd. Yeah. Kyle Hamilton. There it is. Of course.
Man, if you're Kyle Hamilton, you got to be pumped. You're going to the Ravens, like
Yeah. They were what 8-9 or 9-8
Right.
last year, whatever. But they're
they're gonna have all these. They're gonna have these promo things of you like talking to Ed Reed now, like like what more could you ask for? Oh, and you're gonna have your shot at it too because you're gonna be going against the likes of Joe Burrow and eventually Deshaun Watson
Yeah.
and Kenny Pickett.
So now
I want the Steelers to take Kenny Pickett. I really do.
So now we're with the Texans.
Except then he's going to be good, and I'll be really mad.
No, I don't
I'll
want
be
that.
double mad.
Yeah, that would be
That is
no
worst
bueno.
case. Other than the Eagles taking him, that's the worst case scenario.
Him being good anywhere is the worst case scenario. All right, so we're at the Texans now. There was talk about them wanting a wide receiver. Oh, please don't let them take Dotson. I don't want Dotson to go to the Texans. Where do they go? So they already got Stingley, right?
Yeah.
So they're back on the clock. I mean,
By the way,
they could use an
quarterback has
offensive
not
lineman.
gone yet.
No, you're right, and we're at 14.
Well, and what I think says it all is that we have to keep remembering that a quarterback hasn't even gone.
Yeah.
No, it's not like we're sitting here like this is absolutely crazy. No, we just don't even assume they're going. The next two picks, I guess they could take them, but why? You have so many other needs if you're Houston and Washington.
Right. So, but I think the Texans want to see what Davis Mills can do.
Well, I would too after what I saw.
And what's going on with Washington? You got Carson Wentz now, so
right, and the deeper class next year.
So I don't think, and obviously the Chargers aren't doing it. You got to think that the Eagles aren't. You would hope. You would hope. But then New Orleans is. Wait, is that New Orleans? Oh yeah, because they had 2 picks. That was the whole thing.
Two.
People thought maybe they'd package them up to move up.
Right.
Could New Orleans go? But we talked about they signed Jameis for 2 years. I think they'd like to see what he can do in a whole full season.
Right.
So if we rule them out there, then you're up at Pittsburgh, which is pick 20, and none of the quarterbacks have been picked yet.
And in Pittsburgh, I love that because while they have Mitchell Trubisky, they could take a guy. They could take whoever they want.
So and then look at who's after them. Patriots not taking quarterback. Green Bay not taking quarterback. Baltimore not taking quarterback. Dallas not taking quarterback. Buffalo not taking quarterback. I highly doubt Tennessee's taking quarterback. Tampa Bay, I don't think they would. Green Bay again, no. Then 2 for Kansas City. Outside of Pittsburgh and maybe New Orleans, none of the other teams left on the clock are quarterback teams. So what you're going to see is someone's going to trade back up with any of these teams, starting with
especially for the kid from Liberty, is my guess.
New England, which would be
New England would trade back in a heartbeat.
Yeah. But we already saw Detroit move up from 32 to get Jameson Williams. They already have 2 first-round picks.
Right.
Now, they should be sitting there in the early second, I would think, as well.
Right.
but it all depends on who they like.
Oh.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Well, there's just a huge trade just announced. The Ravens have picked up the 23rd overall
And they
pick,
traded
and they
Hollywood
traded
Brown.
Hollywood Brown and a third rounder to the Cardinals.
Wow.
So, do we think Baltimore's in the market for a receiver?
Now
Jahan
they are.
Dotson, maybe? The Houston Texans just selected offensive lineman Kenyon Green. I think you heard me say they could take an offensive lineman. I was thinking maybe they would take Penning, the tackle,
From Texas.
but they go with the possibly the best interior offensive lineman, at least the best guard in Kenyon Green from Texas A&M.
So now we got Washington.
So now we're up to the Commanders. We don't expect them to take a quarterback. The Chargers aren't taking a quarterback. The Eagles unlikely to. New Orleans maybe, and then you're at Pittsburgh. So unless there's a trade, we're pretty much guaranteed for the latest quarterback selection since at least 2000. 2013 it was pick 16. 2000 it was pick 18. Let's go back even farther. Let's see when was the last time it went as late as 20. Ooh, here we go. 1997. Where we at? Jim Druckenmiller, pick 26. So 1997 is probably the low watermark for quarterbacks, I got to think. 2013, 16, 2018, 97, pick 26. Right before murderer Ray Caruth. Right? Isn't he convicted of murder?
Yes.
Whew. Good one there.
Who?
So
I probably shouldn't say this on the record, but I used to always get him mixed up with Rod Carew.
a little different sport.
And I couldn't understand why people just like glossed over that when talking about Rod Carew.
Ray Caruth and Rod Carew. So back
Sorry,
in the
Rod Carew. My bad.
back in the year 1997, Orlando Pace went first overall to the St. Louis Rams. Some other big names: Walter Jones to the Seahawks.
Wow.
Warwick
Washington
Dunn.
hasn't won a playoff game since 2005.
Yeah. Warwick Dunn to the Buccaneers. Tony Gonzalez to the Chiefs. Let's see. Who else? Some big names in here. That was it for the first round. I mean, there's a couple other names in there, but I wouldn't call them big time. I mean, Peter Boulware, Ike Hilliard. Everyone's got to remember the great selection of Yatil Green to the Dolphins from the University of Miami. Love that one. So 95 was
Washington
the first
pick is in.
big year that I remember watching the draft because of all the Penn Staters.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Kajana Carter, Kerry Collins, Tom Brady, and obviously very interesting where Kerry Collins went, not just because of the Penn State connection, but because of the Wilson connection. So from 95 through like 2016, I want to say, a good 20 plus drafts. The draft was like the biggest thing of the year. This is the day or the weekend that I always was like super pumped for. It was a good run. And then things changed. Having kids and business and wife and couldn't do the draft tech stuff anymore. Just
Right.
took up too much time.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, it wasn't like something. Like, it's not like when we follow the other sports where, you know, we can see some tweets during the week and we can, you know, we text each other. Like, no, you're not going to just, like, stumble into that level of draft knowledge. Does that make sense? Like,
Right.
I mean, obviously it makes sense. You know what I'm saying. But, like, yeah, it was a whole different level of, I say commitment. I don't mean it in a negative way. Just, like, of in-depth sports stuff, of which we have plenty of experience. There are plenty of sports things that we go full bore into. Like,
So 1997, Druckenmiller at 26 is not great. But you know what's worse? 96, no quarterbacks in the first round.
wow.
So wasn't now. I mean, when we know what happened in 1995, we had Steve McNair go third overall with Kerry Collins go 5th overall. So that was a very solid quarterback class because both Steve McNair and Kerry Collins had big years and played a long time in the NFL.
Both made it to the Super Bowl.
Yep, they did. But then you had no first-round quarterbacks in '96, and then in '97 you didn't have a first-round quarterback until Druckenmiller at 26. So that would lead me to believe college football mustn't have been quarterback driven in the mid '90s, right after Collins and McNair moved on. So that would have been like your 95, 96.
Some of the big teams are still Nebraska. But think about it. Only a couple years after that, the underclassmen were guys like Brady, who lost his job to Henson then.
Right.
But then you also had Peyton Manning. Like you had guys, they just weren't quite
there
to the NFL yet. But they were the underclassmen when those guys were getting drafted.
I don't think we're getting out of the first round without any quarterbacks being taken.
No, not a chance.
Yeah, that's really weird that they would trade Hollywood Brown. I still can't quite get over that. Really, really weird. So instead of adding a third wide receiver to pair with Rashad Bateman and Hollywood Brown.
Maybe they like what they saw from Bateman last year, even. But think about it. As Bateman came back, that's when Lamar Jackson was out. So, maybe they like what they saw.
Well, here's one of your rivals' selections. The Washington Commanders pick is
Take Kenny Pickett. Take Kenny Pickett.
And they are going to go with...
No! No!
Wow. So the exact, literally the exact opposite of what you could have possibly wanted to happen. You wanted them to take the Pitt quarterback so that you could continue to dislike him, and instead they take our Penn State wide receiver. Oy. Ouch. I do like that they're showing highlights against Maryland there.
I hate everything.
It was awesome to see Dotson become what he became.
Yes.
It was really, really cool because
a latecomer to Penn State too. So Wilson played against him in basketball at Nazareth.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, and Adam was like, "This kid's just freak athlete." But that was before
he was even committed to Penn State.
I think he was going somewhere smaller for basketball, and then Penn State came on the scene, and he was like, "Yeah, sure."
Yeah, why not?
Right.
So he was against Auburn, Ohio State, and he has such soft hands. He catches everything.
He's unbelievable.
Now, are they preparing for McLaurin to hold out or to leave or to trade him? Or
I think they're going to try and keep him. I think they're going to try and have him be opposite McLaurin, two guys.
So I mean,
good for him.
Yeah,
good for him.
Hey, pick 16. You're in the top half of the first round.
Yeah.
Top half of the first round.
Yeah. And I know this is you're a millionaire now, so it's not the end of the world, but family in Nazareth, PA, they can drive down to see that.
We're already up here with the Chargers. I didn't even get a chance to
maybe someday the Washington will get a real owner, and I think they've got a great coach.
Zion Johnson, there's one of my guys. So they're getting protection for Justin Herbert. Probably a pretty good idea for them to do.
The Eagles traded out with Tennessee?
They're not listed. They didn't get that would be the pick back there, right? They would be picking back there.
No, they'd be picking.
No. I'm saying they should be getting that Tennessee pick that's after Buffalo.
Right.
When it comes in. So if Tennessee is actually on the clock, they traded with Philadelphia, which means Philadelphia dropped from 18 to I believe that's 25. No, 26. Maybe they picked up a first round pick from next year.
Oh my gosh, I kind of hope so, but no way.
Well. Were they going to take Dotson? And as soon as Washington took him, they bailed?
Maybe they were.
No Hamilton. They could have taken Devin Lloyd, though. He's still there. So maybe Tennessee saw Dotson going.
Maybe they think Dean will be there now.
Maybe. So let's talk about then what Tennessee could be doing. So they saw a run on wide receivers. Wilson, Olave, London went first. Williams has been taken. Jahan Dotson now. So the biggest names at wide receiver left are Traylon Burks and Christian Watson. I feel like there's mixed reviews on them. So Tennessee moving up to 18 to get them.
I can tell you right now, though, and it doesn't mean it was bad, but if the Eagles come away with only having a defensive tackle when they started a month ago they had 3 first-round picks, and they get a defensive tackle mid-first round, people are going to be underwhelmed, which isn't necessarily the worst thing. It's not the worst thing, but like,
Here we go.
somebody's saying A.J. Brown to the Eagles. A.J. Brown to Eagles.
Holy, oh my! Okay, that
Wow.
changes things.
Wow.
That changes things. Wow. Holy. Titans trade wide receiver A.J. Brown to the Eagles for picks 18 and 101.
I take back everything I just said.
Whoa. Wow.
I am a fan.
So you know that thing we just talked about? How I said AJ Brown, they got to
Right.
figure out their contract. Whoo, that is a big one. That is a big one.
I take that. You
finally an AFC All-Pro leaving the AFC. Goodbye. Go AJ Brown to the Eagles. That is nuts. So wow. Okay. Again, hey, we talked about it with my Dolphins and Tua. Now Jalen Hurts has no excuses. You have Devontae in your second year, and now you've added AJ Brown, and they still have 2
Wow.
first-round picks next year. They still
Yes.
have 2 first-round picks next year.
Right.
So now you got to think Tennessee is all in on receivers.
Yeah.
They could double down on wide receivers in
Yeah.
the first round. But the biggest one, what's crazy to me is that they did that after the run of wide receivers happened. Unless they're super high on Traylon Burks or Christian Watson. So,
Yeah. Well, and the Eagles will have to pay. The Eagles will have to pay AJ Brown now.
yeah.
But like that's okay. Howie's a cap master, man. He can make that work.
So the
Cap
Titans,
means nothing, and I know people for 2 days jumped on that when Tyreek Hill left, and Devontae left, like
Devontae Adams,
right,
Tyreek
like
Hill, yeah.
almost like within a week. No, the cap is nothing, and I've go back to this one over and over again about how the Chiefs were $3 under the cap and re-signed their 3 biggest players.
Right.
You know, like no, like
There's ways around everything.
right.
You
They
can make everything
right.
work.
So it's not that it doesn't exist, but there's always room to make it work.
I'm really trying to figure out what's going on with the Titans here because, to me, Howie knocked that one out of the park. That's a huge get. That's a huge
Yeah, you're not
trade.
getting an unknown
You're getting
wide
an
receiver.
established
You're getting a known.
veteran player.
Like I love Jahan Dotson, but if you're telling me I can get Jahan Dotson or AJ Brown, you take AJ Brown,
Right,
every
because it's a
time,
known
right?
NFL commodity.
Right.
Jahan Dotson is just a star wide receiver from your favorite college team, but you don't know if he's going to be good in the NFL.
Right.
You hope. We always hope the Penn Staters are going to do
Carson
well.
Wentz is a quarterback. For better or worse. Like
So-
Jalen Hurts is now his quarterback, but
So, does Rager get cut or traded here during the draft? So
I feel like they may hold on to him just because he's on his rookie deal.
Yeah,
like
you don't need
it's-
to.
Right, you don't need to. It's
I
not
mean,
going to be.
he's
he's not
only
gonna-
entering his third year, so next year they'd have to talk about a fifth-year
There is
option,
not a chance
unless he'd have a great year this year.
But then you trade him.
Yeah, that's true. Because then you have AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. Why
Right.
do you need
Trade him for a first rounder.
man to the Vikings?
Oh gosh, and then he goes on to be an All-Pro.
So
Wow.
that was a big one. So we're here trying to figure out. Oh well, the Eagles are going to pick up that Tennessee pick. No, that's not happening. I really want to know what Tennessee is doing because, like, I feel like their window has been open. At least people think their window has been open, but we've established that we are not. Even like Tannehill is a fine
I
quarterback.
feel like they've shown us what they are.
2 years in a row now.
And now, do you think they're going to be better next year? They just
I
lost,
mean,
arguably, their.
I understand that they added Robert Woods, but he's he's
they
a
lost-
complimentary pick.
Right, they lost their best receiver and gained another number 2 receiver.
I just, I don't know. I don't know where Tennessee is going here.
Hey, you know what though? It looks even better that the Eagles didn't jump up to try and grab someone. You know, like they stayed. They jumped up to get the defensive guy they wanted.
Yeah,
But basically traded a first and a third for A.J. Brown. He's their best player.
He's better
like
than Derrick
Derrick
Henry.
Henry's more dynamic, but A.J. Brown's better.
Well, here we go. Let's find out what Tennessee's doing here.
I might not be right there. That might just be me saying that because he's now on the Eagles. But
So, who they take? Do they replace him? Do they go with Traylon Burks or Christian Watson? Man, I wouldn't want to be that pick here if it's a wide receiver.
Yeah.
After they traded A.J. Brown.
right, Traylon Burks.
There he is. Traylon Burks. Now, he did not play against Penn State in the bowl game.
Didn't matter.
But he did not matter. He was a great player for the Razorbacks this year.
I'm gonna be honest. Like seeing the green room stuff is cool. I love seeing the players with their
like
families,
huge
and everything.
family and
yeah,
friends,
like that's
coaches,
so cool.
teammates. Yeah,
So cool.
that is pretty cool. So compared to A.J. Brown, what a coincidence. He should wear his number too.
Wow, that's insane.
They don't even make.
They don't even make a size gloves. Nike has to make them special order.
Whew. All
What
right.
I like about AJ Brown for the Eagles too is he's not Devontae Smith. Like they're not the same
they're
receiver.
completely
like
different.
right, which is great because I feel like there have been a number of times where the Eagles have had 3 of the same receiver. The Eagles have had 3 slot receivers a number of times over the last couple decades. Like
And now the second comparison was to Debo Samuel. So
right.
now the Titans turn around and get Debo.
You can afford to pay him if you're not going to pay AJ and you just drafted a wide receiver, because these guys are going to be
Okay.
slotted.
So now if you turn around and you have Debo, Burks, and Woods.
yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Now I don't think they're going to do that.
Oh, and you still have the running back. like,
Right. Derrick Henry.
right. So here you go. Still no quarterback. New Orleans isn't going to take one, I don't think.
Right. So we're up to pick 19.
Pittsburgh take
So
him?
then it's all eyes are on Pittsburgh because if they get past Pittsburgh, but that's the thing. If
So
Pittsburgh
this is how I want this to
doesn't
play
start-
out. I want. Okay, there are lots of different ways I want chaos to unfold here. Either Pitt taking the kid from Liberty and passing on Kenny Pickett, you know what I mean, and then we can revive the whole Ross Tucker tweet about how Kenny Pickett can't play in Pittsburgh, in a cold weather city like Pittsburgh, that would be ideal. Or they take Kenny Pickett and then I get to root against Kenny Pickett even more. But yeah, so we'll see how this is. We'll see how this plays out. But yeah, the Saints pick is in. They said the teams know who they want at this point.
Well, yeah. Why wouldn't you? I don't see why anyone wouldn't want to.
Right, Well, and we said it earlier with the Eagles and the quarterback, right? So, Jalen Hurts, show us what you got, man. Right. You know what I mean? You've got your chance to show us that this is that this is you. Okay?
Now's the time.
Right.
So the third quarter, the Sixers outscored Toronto 37-17.
But I thought Doc couldn't make adjustments.
No, he can't. He can. You don't know?
I mean, I say that when your stars play, when your stars play like stars, good things happen. You know, like.
Whew. That was something. Think of all the star wide receivers that changed teams this offseason.
Yeah.
And
how many have been picked? You know, like, it just tells you a little bit about how the league operates now, doesn't it? Like, get the ball to your playmakers in space. Like,
see what they can do. So
we say that as Tennessee has like the big bruising guy, but like.
So do the Saints go offensive line here, replace Armstead? I don't think they go Linderbaum because they took Ruiz a couple years ago. Remember, I was really high on Cesar Ruiz. He's still there.
Who's been good.
They could go Penning from, I think, TCU is the top-rated tackle available. Like I said, don't think they'd go Linderbaum. Zion Johnson was already picked by the Chargers. Because they went Olave with their first pick at 11. So who's going to be the Saints selection? Do we think it's going to be, like you said, I just don't think it's going to be a quarterback. I don't think you re-sign Jameis for 2 years if it's going to be a quarterback unless.
Right. That's kind of how I feel as well.
Well, here we go. Roger Goodell is at the podium to announce the New Orleans Saints pick at number 19. Who is it going to be? Come on. Tell us.
Penning.
It is Trevor Penning. Sorry, Northern Iowa. What did I say? I said TCU. They have purple. It's a purple team. I knew it was a purple team. So they went Penning. So he is essentially their replacement, or will attempt to replace Teron Armstead, who is now playing with my Dolphins. So Trevor Penning from Northern Iowa goes to the Saints at 19, and we were correct. No quarterback picked, but the Steelers are on the clock. What did they do here? Just a huge decision for the Steelers to make. Do they roll into the year with Mitchell Trubisky as their guy?
In a spot where the former GM is the guy still like helping to run. Now, I'm not saying he's the one lone guy calling the shots here, but he's still running the draft stuff, and then they're going to kind of transition out into a new front office. Just an interesting thing. Like, now, to be fair, like the Steelers are, we've said this over and over on the show, they are the model of stability. So, like, they've got a system they're going to stick to. You know, like, it's not surprising that that's how the Steelers would do it. But, yeah, man, what are we going to see from the Steelers here? Because if it's not the Steelers,
well, then someone's got to trade up.
Yeah.
You're stuck then. I don't know. Well, I mean, look. Jacksonville is not going to do it, obviously. Detroit could, but they already had 2 first-round picks, and they already moved up once, so they would have to. They'd have to get creative to do it again. So it you could see Detroit maybe move up, but does Houston need to move up, or could they sit there and wait and say, "Oh, if one of them's available in the early second round, we can jump on
NBC
it"?
Sports put on it. Holy crap, Howie Roseman.
But the Jets don't need it. Like, you don't think the Giants would? Maybe the Seahawks pick is in.
Don't get me wrong, I don't think it's where they're going, but Arnold Ebiketie would be an interesting pick here. You know, just
what to pair with Watt?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see.
I mean, for like,
or Jermaine Johnson's still out there.
Yeah. Any of these teams could use could use guys.
Andrew
like
Booth?
edge rusher guys.
Tyler Linderbaum? Like, wouldn't that be a Steelers pick?
Yeah.
Devin Lloyd? Devin Lloyd sounds
Baltimore's
like...
coming up again.
Yeah, so...
I feel like he could go to New England, though, too. That's what's going to happen.
I don't want Devin Lloyd to go to New England. Come on, don't do that.
He can start making this Hall of Fame bust now, man.
Oy. Yeah, Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett, Desmond Ridder, all still out there. Do the Steelers like any of them enough to take him at pick 20?
We shall see.
Who would you pick out of those three?
Give me the three again.
Willis, Pickett, or Ridder?
I'm going Willis.
So am I.
You got Trubisky to kind of bridge the gap, and he's got the biggest ceiling, the highest ceiling, I guess.
Yeah,
in my
go.
opinion.
To me, I go Willis, Ridder, Pickett. So Willis and Ridder performed well in 2020, whereas I feel like Pickett kind of ascended last year.
That
and
any
his
of
measurables
them right now, though, are better than Mitchell Trubisky should be for them.
Well, we saw Trubisky do in year
got the
two.
Bears to the
Right.
playoffs.
What he did in, what was that, year 2 in Chicago?
So, yeah.
What he did in his second year there, I know people...
And if Cody Parkey doesn't miss the kick, they win a playoff game.
Right.
They beat the Eagles.
Yeah.
And the Eagles should have beat the Saints, so the Bears have a shot against the Saints.
Something's telling me that Pittsburgh doesn't do it.
I don't think they do.
They take Johnson.
It is not like Pittsburgh.
Lloyd.
Although Pittsburgh, to get their next quarterback guy at 20 and not have to trade up for him, that is very
That's
Pittsburgh.
very Pittsburgh.
But Pittsburgh taking a guy who is more of an impact now.
I forgot they added Miles Jack.
Yeah, so did I. Jeez.
Yeah. Oh, man. Could they go wide receiver after losing Juju? I know he hasn't had it, his last 2 years weren't as good as his first 2 years, but they also lost James Washington. So, but I don't know that they go Christian Watson. And I feel like the wide receivers are picked over here early. You can probably get someone later.
Right.
I don't know the extent
I think there's
of their
better
picks,
value
though.
than at wide receiver right now.
Right. Well, I think a pass rusher is huge, but do they need him? That's the biggest question: is how many pass rushers and linebackers do the Steelers need?
I know we have him as like a second round guy, and he got hurt, but like Ojabu, man, they've loved those guys out of Michigan and in Pittsburgh. They've taken a bunch of them over the years.
I mean, the pick is in. They're just making us wait right now. So, Franco.
Yeah.
Making the announcement, huh? All right. Well, let's pull that up and see what happens as Roger Goodell hands over the announcement to Franco Harris, Pittsburgh and Penn State legend.
Oh, he looks shocked. Does he not?
He does. Maybe it is Ebiketie. Maybe he gets to announce a Penn Stater 2 years in a row for the
That'd be cool.
Steelers. Because Franco announced the Pat Frymuth pick last year. So, well, let's listen in, see what happens.
He here with us tonight to celebrate the 50th anniversary of that moment and to announce the pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, he's at the Raiders. They have Franco Harris.
Franco Harris.
I can't wait to hear what this reaction was upon seeing the name here. Okay.
Oh my gosh! Hello, Las Vegas!
This is great.
Wow! I love this. I love this.
Okay.
With the 20th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Kenny Pickett.
Oh my gosh.
So it is. Welcome to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Whoa.
It is Kenny Pickett. Here we go. And there is the reaction. What a dream. No doubt for Kenny
That could go really, really well or really, really poorly.
making his way and making his bones to be a big man on campus.
Okay, so they did it.
Wow. Well, that seals it. Not rooting for the Steelers now.
Like you have ever before. Wow. I mean, he was a savior for all 7 Pittsburgh Panther fans out there. So, best year they had in 40 years. That is not an exaggeration by me.
I hope he wears number 7.
What did he wear at Pitt? I don't even know. They're going to show highlights
like
here, I'm
14
sure.
or something like that.
Oh, I don't want to wear that. That's one of my numbers. He can't wear that.
Maybe 8.
Whatever. Wear number 1. Wow. I'm not sold on him, and I know I have bias. You're right. It was number 8. I have bias against him because he plays for Pitt, and I hate Pitt so much.
Okay,
but
but
comparing to Matt Hasselbeck, that's fine, but that's not going to win you Super Bowls.
Right, and so even if and just look at it within the division, to what it means to be in the top 2 in your division would mean he has to be better than Burrow or Watson
or Jackson. He has to be better than 2 of those 3 to be top 2.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know that he's going to get the opportunity to do that this year. I feel like they're going to go with Trubisky.
Right.
So, I just...
Well, to think about it, he'll play in front of more people at his first Steelers game than he will.
Than he did in his entire Pitt
right.
career
It
combined.
will not feel. It will not feel like the same stadium.
You can add up the numbers that he played in front of at Pitt, and one Steelers game will be bigger than it.
Man, there are a lot of Steelers/Penn State fans. You know what I mean? Like, although if it was the Eagles, and
it doesn't matter.
I would separate it. I'd be like, look, as much as I don't like that now, I like it.
I look at it like Nick Singleton playing at Penn State now. 4 years, I didn't want.
How about Paul calling us out on that last week too? Like, hey, you guys said yes, we did, Paul.
Quiet, Paul. Whew. Chiefs have moved up. Chiefs are up to 21.
Malik Willis.
They traded with. Who do they trade with?
Maybe they take a wide receiver here.
New England. They traded with New England.
And we said we called New England trading back in a heartbeat.
So are they going one of the edge rushers?
Could. I feel like they got better.
They moved up to get a
year.
quarterback because they see a run of quarterbacks starting. Who's this going to be?
It becomes like some keeper leagues and like they have to spend first round picks to keep the guys you have. NFL becomes a keeper league.
All right, so let's revisit the Draft Network's top 100. And their number 1 guy left is Jermaine Johnson, the edge rusher from Florida State. Then you have Andrew Booth, the cornerback from Clemson, Tyler Linderbaum, the center from Iowa, Devontae Wyatt, the defensive lineman from Georgia, Devin Lloyd, the linebacker from Utah, Dax Hill from Michigan, the safety, and then Nakobe Dean, the linebacker from Georgia. Those are the top remaining according to the Draft Network. Over at Draft Tech, their big board, they have, Malik Willis, Jermaine Johnson, George Karlaftis, Tyler Linderbaum, Matt Corral. How do you say that? Corral.
Yeah.
Trent McDuffie, Devin Lloyd, Sam Howell are their top remaining picks. And their live mock draft, let's see if they...
The reaction from a Browns fan is good. He's no good. I'm glad the Steelers took him.
Let me guess, that's from Joe.
It is.
All right.
They're trying to make up for passing on Dan Marino. That's what
Good. That worked out in my favor. Let's see. So they have not updated. They had New England taking Trent McDuffie, which would make sense because they just lost J.C. Jackson. And then they have Green Bay taking Jermaine Johnson, and Arizona going George Karlaftis, and Dallas going Devin Lloyd. Ooh, pairing Devin Lloyd with Micah Parsons. All right, looks like the Chiefs selection is in, so let's listen to Roger Goodell make the pick. They're still promoting the Chargers at Chiefs game on September 15th on Amazon Prime. Good thing I've been an Amazon Prime member for a long time.
called by Kirk Herbstreit, right?
Oh, there's Trent McDuffie. So the Chiefs, in desperate need for defensive help, they get him in one of my favorite players in this draft, Trent McDuffie, the cornerback from Washington. So good pick by them. You know, they lost the Honey Badger, who moved on after a solid few years with Kansas City.
Oh, they were on. Somebody was on live with Jason Kelsey when the AJ Brown trade went down.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You know, I wish we could have seen the live reaction and analysis from Ross Tucker.
Oh, man.
Because he was doing the Eagles draft again.
Yeah.
So that would have been fun. He got to talk about a big man in Jordan Davis and then got to react to a trade for A.J. Brown. So big night for the Eagles. And this is a good pick by the Chiefs. I like this selection of Trent McDuffie here. And how could anyone be upset about going to one of the best teams in the AFC? And a team that has played in, 4 straight AFC championship games, right? Or
yeah,
yeah, 4.
Yep.
So. All right, so we're up to pick 22, which is Green Bay, and they do have 2 first-round picks. They pick here and at 28? Yeah, 28. So 22 and 28 will be the Packers. I don't know that they can go wide receiver here unless they would go Christian Watson or if they go somewhere else, they're going away from expectations. Like George Pickens, David Bell, most people think that they're second rounders. Most of the big name first round wide receivers have all been selected. So what else do the Packers need? I feel like they're also always looking for edge rushers. So Jermaine Johnson may be a guy that they would want to check out. They lost Zadarius Smith, who I believe was at one time going to be a Raven. Then he went to the Vikings.
Ross Tucker just tweeted.
No.
Like, Malik Willis is on the board for the Packers.
Oh, Ross. So much good trolling.
Oh, man.
Oh, my uncle's been texting me. He said before the Patriots traded back, he said Patriots taking Devin Lloyd from Utah. Then he said, not surprised. Patriots trade back. Not surprised. No, not surprised at all. It seems what they always do. So they're adding more picks. It'll be interesting to see what New England ends up doing, but they don't pick now until pick 29. But there's a lot of good players still left on the board. And I don't like these players that were a top 10, top 15 picks staying there for the possibility of New England grabbing them. So, Packers pick is in. So that's interesting. Packers have not taken a first round receiver since Javon Walker in 2002.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're also similar to the Steelers. They always can find good receivers in the second and third round.
And that's where some of the people started pushing back when they said, like, oh, they don't draft weapons for Aaron Rodgers. And they started pushing back on, like, yes, they've always found guys. They didn't have to take them in the first round because they found guys at other spots where they didn't need to,
Exactly.
which is a legitimate thing to talk about.
All right, so
There we go.
here we go. Pick is in. Packers selection. Let's hear it. Quay Walker, linebacker from Georgia. So he does end up going before Nakobe Dean. That was talk was heating up over the last few weeks that you could see Quay Walker go before Nakobe Dean, and he does. To the Packers at pick 22. So Baltimore's up now. No, they're not. Buffalo just traded up. Oh God! Don't let the Bills take Devin Lloyd. This is like watching a nightmare play out in real time. I mean, there's a lot of guys I don't want.
Georgia was so good this year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Georgia defenders. So Trevon Walker, Devin Wyatt, Nakobe Dean, Jordan Davis, all ranked in the top 28. Lewis Seen gets him in the top 35. All right, so the Steelers did what's going on?
trade.
Now Minnesota's up?
Oh,
What is happening?
I don't know.
Did Dallas move up? There are trades happening. It's like the Wild Wild West right now. The Bills are on the clock, I think. Wait, no, what happened to... No, pick 22 was Quay Walker to the Packers. So now the Bills are on the clock at pick 23. They moved up with Baltimore from 25. So Buffalo has moved up to get someone. What we didn't talk about much when the Steelers made Kenny Pickett the selection at 20 was they prevented the slide of the quarterbacks. They slotted in there between 2013, which saw E.J. Manuel at pick 16 to the Bills, and 2000. Who was it in 2000? Right, wasn't it 2000?
Chad Pennington.
Chad Pennington at 18 to the Jets. So now you get the, I guess, technically third latest for a quarterback to go in the first round of the draft here with the Steelers taking Kenny Pickett at 20. In 97, Jim Druckenmiller was the 26th pick of the 49ers, and in 96, no quarterbacks went in the first round. So not a great year for quarterbacks. Next year supposed to be better. We'll see what happens when the college season starts again at the end of August. But the Bills are on the clock here with pick 23 in the first round. We're 2.5 hours into the draft and plodding along here with 10 picks to go, including this one. There's a lot of guys I hope they don't pick, but I feel like they got to take one of these guys, one of these top guys that it's left, starting with Jermaine Johnson, Andrew Booth.
Someone said within minutes the Cardinals traded for Marquise Brown for the 23rd pick. The Eagles got A.J. Brown for pick 18 and a third-round pick. You know, like,
Yeah.
They were saying, what are the Cardinals doing?
Not equal, yeah. Not equal at all. Doesn't look good for Arizona there. So, Tyler Linderbaum, Devontae Wyatt, Devin Lloyd, Dax Hill, Nakobe Dean, George Karlaftis,
Brisker,
Jaquan Brisker, Isaiah Spiller, Lewis Seen, Kenny Walker. I don't think they would have traded up to take a running back, though. So
what are the Bills' needs here?
I feel like every team could use offense and defensive line every year.
Yeah.
I feel like that's always an opportunity there. I don't know what to say there. Let me see what Draft Tech's happening.
Devin Lloyd is who they're showing there.
So, biggest needs for Buffalo, they do have defensive linemen and linebackers. So, you would think that those edge rushers I talked about could be a possibility. Wyatt.
Here's this.
So Buffalo gave up a 4th-round pick to move up 2 spots from 25 to 23 and leapfrog Dallas. So they could go Elam, the cornerback from Florida. I don't think they're going to go wide receiver here. I don't think they're going to go running back here. My money would be on defense, despite them ranking first last year.
Right.
I can't stand Buffalo being good. This is just almost as bad as New England being good. And the Jets being good would be, but that's never going to happen. So I don't have to worry about that.
So you've got that.
I've got that going for me. So I just want to know what's going on with the Bills here. Really don't want it to be Devin Lloyd. That would be really disappointing. I could handle some of the other ones. I just don't want it to be Devin Lloyd. That's probably the biggest one. I could see it being Devontae Wyatt, the other defensive lineman from Georgia.
They've really hit on these first-round picks that the Bills have been taking, like late, you know.
Yeah. Ugh. Man, I'm so glad the Chiefs came back and beat them last year. Oh, how exciting was that?
That was pretty exciting.
So the pick is in. Here we go. Let's listen to Commissioner Roger Goodell.
I didn't realize they
Let
had
us
a
know.
live band on the side.
What? You're in Vegas, you know.
Nothing should surprise me.
23rd pick to the Buffalo Bills. With the 23rd pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills select Kaiir Elam.
Oh, I just said it. So they traded up to take the cornerback. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
He wasn't one of my favorites in the draft, so that one doesn't hurt me too bad. I figured it would be defense, so not surprised there. I feel like they might be seen as a bit of a reach too, so I'm fine with that.
Especially to trade up to get him.
Right. He was ranked 40th by the Draft Network. Let me check what Draft Tech had him at. So they had him as the 5th best cornerback, 29th overall. So Gardner, Stingley, and McDuffie were in front of him, but so were Kyler Gordon, McDuffie's teammate at Washington, though they did drop Andrew Booth behind him, and the Draft Network was much higher on Andrew Booth, having him all the way up at 13th overall.
Dallas is on the clock.
So Dallas is up. They could use a wide receiver. I don't think that's going to happen here. They always need defensive help. So with Jermaine Johnson, Andrew Booth, Devontae Wyatt, Devin Lloyd, Dax Hill, Nakobe Dean, I feel like it's got to be one of those guys.
Yeah. An interesting one here, and again, this is just from our bias here, would be Randy Gregory moving on and getting someone like Ebiketie there. You know, like
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know he and Parsons never played together, but that would be pretty cool. Not for you as an Eagles fan.
Right,
but,
exactly.
To have, yeah. But I don't see, unless there's something about Jermaine Johnson that we don't know.
No, you're right.
I don't
You're
see
right.
them picking Ebiketie over
You're right.
Johnson or even Karlaftis, because he's still out there too from Purdue. So, I mean, they've lost offensive linemen. They lost Lyle Collins and Connor Williams. Could they go with Linderbaum?
Yeah.
It's a possibility.
It served them well when they've done it.
Kenyon Green and Zion Johnson are off the board. There's no other tackle that they would probably consider anymore. They're all gone. They're not going quarterback, so Johnson, Booth, Linderbaum, Wyatt, Lloyd, Hill, Dean. I feel like it should be one of those guys, unless something comes out of nowhere. I mean, they nailed it with Parsons last year.
Yeah.
Can't get any better than what he did last year in terms of a rookie defender. I think CeeDee Lamb is a star in the making. They got rid of Amari Cooper and let Cedric Wilson walk, so they've hit on at least
Well,
their
they
last
have to,
two
'cause
first rounders.
They're in a cap mess. Like, just from some of the deals, like paying your running back $90 million.
The cap's not real.
Right, but
And Van Der Esch back in 2018 was a solid pick by them as well.
yes.
They
But he's
missed
also
on
someone.
Taco, but
Right, yeah.
who is this gonna be? Who is this gonna be?
The college group chat is going now that
How's it going nuts?
now that the Steelers have picked their quarterback, and
Yeah.
the Browns fan is interjecting, and it's amusing.
All good things, right?
Yeah.
All positives.
Not things I'll share out loud on the air, but oh my gosh, Vegas is crazy. Like, there's just an Eiffel Tower over there. Like,
Right. Here we go. Did you see this from Schefter?
no.
Eagles moved up to draft Georgia defensive tackle Jordan Davis, completed a blockbuster trade for former Titans wide receiver A.J. Brown, and did it without giving up either of their double first-round picks in the 2023 draft.
I like it. I like it.
I'm still happy that the Bills picked Elam. That makes me happy.
Right, like of the things that they could have done there.
Jordan Davis talked about wanting to be a sponge around Fletcher Cox.
So,
It's probably a good idea.
the Steelers fan replies, "You're just mad you're paying $150 million to still be in last place." Oh my gosh.
Gotta love it.
Yes. Yeah, we will. I'm still kind of surprised that the Ravens moved Hollywood Brown, but
Yeah, so, and I don't see them going wide receiver next. I see them adding to their defense. And if Dallas can only take one of those edge rushers that's left, hey, maybe Baltimore goes Ebikidi to pair with Owe.
that'll be interesting.
And again, I know they didn't play together, but still, Penn Staters. We did have a few comments. Most of them were from my uncle, who also texted me. He let us know that the Eagles got A.J. Brown, but I didn't have the comments up. And that Patriots will take Devin Lloyd, and they still could. He's on the board. Your mom also said she hates football. So I'm not happy about what transpired with, I guess,
She's probably not
the
happy.
Steelers, maybe, or if she just doesn't like the
She probably doesn't
Ravens
like the Ravens
back.
trading back a bunch of times. But the Ravens,
The Ravens know what they're doing. They already
They
got
know-
Kyle
yeah.
Hamilton. They're fine.
yeah.
It's okay.
But
Deep
he's from
breaths.
Notre Dame, so my mom won't like that.
Oh, well, I mean, no one likes that. So, speaking of Notre Dame, I got a Facebook message today from. The Cowboys selection is up. Let's listen to this, and then I'll get back to my Notre Dame story.
Okay.
Okay.
Two main penalties. I like it. He'll fit right in on the Cowboys line.
So that, by and large, is most definitely a reach. I think. I don't think he was 59th overall at Draft Network and 48th. So a bit of a reach. I mean, apparently they like the tackle position more than the center offensive guard position. I don't like that pick. I don't.
I do.
Well, I know you do. I feel like that's a reach with the names of the defensive players on the board that they could have had, like you said, to replace Randy Gregory, and they didn't go that direction.
Smart move. Smart move.
Anyways, I got a message today from a friend whose daughter attends Notre Dame, and she sent him a video of Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, and Jerome Bettis approaching a hall, a classroom building on Notre Dame's campus, with them decked out in Ghostbusters flight suits and proton packs. My initial thought was that it was a second commercial for the Goat Busters, where the baseball players were dressed up. It was Ortiz, Alex Rodriguez. Who were the other two? There was 4 of them. And I mean, they had it was done with, obviously they using Ghostbusters logo and the Ecto and everything. Eric Reich, who is like the main Ghostbusters guy for Ghost Corps, was involved in this. Like, it was really well done. They're awesome promotions and commercials. I thought maybe it was a sequel to that. I haven't heard whether that's the case or not. But the friend Adam Ladd, who's a Temple fan, so I try not to hold that against him. Temple guy. It's just about as bad as Pitt is. But he sent the video from his daughter, also a picture. But he said that he thought it was actually a part of Manning's show for ESPN Plus. And they were out front of, I forget what building it was, but it's supposedly haunted by George Gipp. So there's a connection there. So Jerome Bettis obviously is a Notre Dame alum.
Who also went back.
Literally recent alum.
Yeah,
I was going to say. He just graduated from
awesome.
Notre Dame.
Good for him.
But, big time NFL running back for the Rams and most notably for the Steelers. Won the Super Bowl in his hometown of Detroit, Super Bowl 40, which that makes me feel really old as we're about to play Super Bowl 56, 57. Where are we at now?
I know.
So it could be something for the Manning show on ESPN+.
We've reached that point where the Super Bowls that were a long time ago weren't the ones from when I was a kid. I mean, those are a long time ago, but also the ones were from when I was a young adult were a long time ago, and that hurts a little bit.
Yeah, so it was
That's awesome.
It was a cool video when he sent it along. I was shocked to see what it was, but yeah, it's cool. So it's the 3 of them approaching a Notre Dame campus building. I want to say Washington Hall, maybe. I'm trying to remember, but yeah. So whenever that ends up being, it's pretty cool. Pretty excited about that for whenever it ends up coming out, and I appreciate Adam sending it along, even if he's a Temple guy. So.
I just keep thinking, it's a long way off. I'm like, Joey's really, really going to struggle if like Austin or Colton is like, I'm going to Pitt or Temple or something like that. Like, Joey's, it's going to be a rough conversation. I'm going to make them tell you. I'm not telling you.
That's probably for the best.
Right. I'll be like, hey, look, it's your decision, but you need to tell Joey. I'm not telling him. Man, I'm excited about the Eagles, what they did, what they were able to do.
Yeah,
I would have liked Kyle Hamilton, but like I understand getting one of the better Georgia defenders on, who was the best team and were carried by their defense. Like, okay, like that's solid. And then to top that off with getting, a potentially great wide receiver is solid.
Oh boy, what's this? What's going on here?
Oh gosh.
This is college basketball.
Okay.
Miami's Isaiah Wong will enter the NCAA transfer portal tomorrow if his name, image, likeness compensation isn't increased. His agent Adam Pappas told ESPN. Isaiah would like his NIL to reflect that he was a leader of an Elite 8 team.
Well, basically holding out. Well, Kentucky, the kid just said he's coming back because essentially his NIL thing came through at like $2 million.
So I guess the money for the NIL at Miami basketball, or maybe all of Miami athletics, comes from billionaire John Ruiz.
Okay.
He says, this is a direct quote from him, Isaiah is under contract. He has been treated by Life Wallet exceptionally well. If that, entering the transfer portal, is what he decides, I wish him well. However, I do not renegotiate. Surprises me because there are so many players that would love to play for the U.
And like that's going to be the thing. Like you can go, but you can't if you're under contract. And if I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that the billionaire businessman, has a little bit more experience in contract, negotiations and understanding contract language than the college kid, and even the agent. So could be interesting.
Whew. Yeah, that's something. Oh, here we go. My uncle's texting me about the Goat Busters commercials. Alex Rodriguez, David Ortiz, Randy Johnson, and Ken Griffey Jr. Now there's a foursome right there.
Yeah.
It was really well done. The behind the scenes stuff is great. The commercial is great. Promotion, fabulous. I love to see it. They changed the No Ghost logo to reflect the baseball aspect of it. Very, very cool. An actual ecto from Sony and Ghost Scores. But I'm interested to see what the Manning and Bettis Ghostbusters thing is. If it's related to Eli or Peyton's show. Was that Peyton's Places, right? That's what he does. I guess that makes a lot of sense to visit Jerome Bettis back on campus
Right.
to earn his degree, and there's supposedly a haunted building. That's cool. I like it. So we'll probably see that later this summer or early next fall. But so Baltimore's up with their second pick. This is pick 25 of the first round. We'll see what they decide to do with a lot of defensive talent left out there. They already took Kyle Hamilton. Here is Commissioner Roger Goodell with their selection. So let's listen in.
With the 25th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Tyler Lindenbaum, center, Iowa.
Good get for them. That's a good get.
Marshall Yonda, that worked out quite well. There's a great relationship between Ozzie Newsome, Eric DaCosta, and Kirk Ferentz.
Ugh, let's not talk about Kirk Ferentz.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as much as I don't like Iowa, taking a lineman from Iowa is usually a pretty good pick. And I think that's a solid pick for the Ravens. And they were able to add a little bit more draft capital by trading back a couple times. So, it's not bad at all for them.
We don't even know. I don't remember what they got all. So they.
I've got the hiccups. I'm gonna stand up.
We're on the marathon here. We're approaching almost 3 hours here, and we're up to pick 26. So 26 is the New York Jets. Were they always on the clock here? Is that new? Jets straight in here?
I don't remember.
Interesting. So we'll see what happens.
One of his Iowa teammates who we've seen phenomenal young career. That's Linderbaum pinning him. Come on the wrestling mat. My goodness. That plays very well in the offensive line room, by the way. Who else was a great wrestler in last year's draft? It was a center.
Here you go. The Big Ten has had the number 2 pick in 4 out of the last 5 drafts.
The number which pick?
Number 2.
Number 2. Nice. So yes, the Jets have traded. They have moved up to pick 26. So this will be the Jets' third first-round pick.
Wow.
So they went Gardner, right? They went Sauce Gardner first. And then they went Garrett Wilson second. So now the Jets are on the clock again, and you know they're not going quarterback. So I assume this is one of the defenders that's fallen.
Maybe the edge rusher guy.
Jermaine Johnson. And
There's got to be something with Jermaine Johnson.
yeah, that we don't know about. He was a JUCO guy. He was at Georgia for a bit and finished at Florida State. Yeah, they're talking about Jermaine Johnson right now.
Garrett Wilson, who was my 4th player, and Jermaine Johnson's my 9th player. He's still out there, and those are the 3 positions that they really wanted to attack in this draft. This will be their 3rd first-round pick. This dude's like, forget about it. I thought I was going to go get a meal.
Interesting. So, if they don't go Jermaine Johnson, who do they go? I doubt they go. They're not going to go Booth, I wouldn't think. Maybe Devontae Wyatt. I don't want them to take Devin Lloyd. Maybe Dax Hill to pair with Gardner in the secondary. Nakobe Dean also.
Yeah.
Lloyd or Dean, maybe.
So you think that's what it is? What else could it be?
We've been talking about him for the last 7 or 8 picks. How is this guy still out there? And it's a position of need for the Jets. And he hit a certain spot.
So, I mean, it makes sense for it to be Jermaine Johnson. We'll see if that happens.
To go with Zach Wilson as the quarterback. Joe Douglas, experienced with this and likes doing it. You go get Jermaine Johnson. Remember, you got to
I get the hiccups every day. Or nearly every day.
Getting a little cramped, a little burned out here, but I would hate to leave if Ebikadi or Brisker goes here at the end. I would really like to see.
I was thinking that too as we close in on 11 o'clock.
I know.
I'm so old.
They've definitely sped it up, though, because I feel like in years past it's been midnight. Now, I mean, maybe these last picks will take.
I feel like I've been at 11 and I've left and we're around pick 20 to 22. You know what I mean?
So I definitely think it was sped up a little bit, but they're still drawing it out. They could have this done by 11 if they really wanted to.
Oh yeah, especially with the way the picks have been coming in.
All right, here we go.
Third first-round choice of the New York Jets here in Las Vegas.
The Tennessee Titans have traded the 26th pick to the New York Jets. With the 26th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Jermaine Johnson.
There it is.
Makes sense.
I think your Jets might be cooking with gas.
That's what Joey likes to hear.
The bigger the expectations, the bigger the fall.
I didn't see that happen.
And you got 2 heavy personalities out of the whole deal, too. I mean, you're taking Sauce and Jermaine styling and profiling as he walks that aisle.
This guy is a football player, right? He's not just a pass rusher. He is long, he is physical, he is aggressive. And I marked this when I was looking at him. 70 tackles for a defensive end, where you look for that guy to make TFLs and sacks, but 70 tackles means he's playing in the run game also.
And not on a great football team overall. He had to make a lot of plays.
All right, so we're up to pick 27, and that is Jacksonville, apparently. The trades are happening, don't even know what's going on. So the Jaguars are on the clock. They are pick 27. They did not trade back into this position for a quarterback. So there's still a bunch of edge rushers out there. There's cornerback out there. Defensive lineman. I mean, Devin Lloyd or Nakobe Dean there. I mean, to replace Miles Jack, possibility.
Fans to see who ends up being the better of the two.
Normally, his quarterbacks are tied together like that. This might be pass rusher.
No doubt. He looks excited to be joining the
Very, very interesting.
on this football team. Big time speed. He can crush the pocket. And when you think of that size and length that he has, just reminded me of Daniil Hunter and what he's done.
I don't know where else the Jags would or should go. I feel like
they have plenty of needs.
Yeah, they do, but I feel like it would be defense. Booth or Hill in the secondary. Lloyd, Dean, Karlaftis as rusher linebacker guys.
Here's that swipe move using his hands. There's polish to his game. There's a reason why he had all that production. And watch what he does to Darian Kennard here at the end.
Hopefully we'll find out soon. They haven't even announced the Jaguars trade.
And the Jets got a defensive front now, guys.
So they traded with Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay now does not have a first-round pick. They moved to the first pick of the second round, which means they'll be in the driver's seat for any team that might want the best available players that don't go in the first, including some of the quarterbacks. So.
And I know you're excited. He's got a big smile and certainly has the style for the New York area.
All right. Jacksonville, Green Bay, New England, Kansas City, Cincinnati, and Minnesota. Jacksonville, this is their second pick of the first round. Green Bay, it'll be their second pick of the first round. New England hasn't picked yet. Kansas City, it'll be their second pick of the first round. And then Cincinnati and Minnesota will round it out with their first selections of the 2020 NFL Draft first round. Then Tampa Bay, like I said, has dropped into the second round. So actually, Minnesota has pick 32 and 34. So,
yeah,
I'll bump that again. Keep doing that. So, yeah, so the Jaguars moved up with Tampa Bay, and their pick is in. So pick 27 has been made. It just hasn't been announced yet, as has been the case all night long. All right, so let's look at, so only one quarterback has been taken. Kenny Pickett to the Steelers at 20. Kenny Pickett to the Steelers at 20. But the teams left aren't picking quarterbacks unless Minnesota surprises. But I don't think they will. I think they're going to try to run it back with Kirk Cousins again.
I agree. Like, if you're them, you gotta feel like you're still. Well, I mean, I'm sure they feel like they're the best team in the division, or could challenge for it, even though it's Green Bay. But you look, Green Bay just lost their best offensive,
their best non-quarterback,
their best target. Yeah. And you and I, man, we kind of called that. You especially called that like that. Green Bay's nothing special. I feel like Minnesota's close, but do you believe in Cousins enough to get it done there?
I believe in Cousins enough that
if you have enough pieces around him,
yeah,
and they could potentially do that.
I mean, they have Dalvin Cook, have Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson. Are they? Honestly, I think Cousins played pretty well last year, by and large.
Yeah.
They still couldn't get it done. It's tough in a division with the Packers when they have Rodgers and Adams, but now Adams is gone.
Yeah, but here's the thing: the Bears are probably going to be getting better, right? You would think.
The Lions are definitely getting better.
The Lions are getting better. So all of a sudden, like, all right. You consider a split with the Packers a good thing, but you feel like you probably need to win your other 4 division games, right? Because you don't want to go like
2-4 or something
right.
Like that. 3-3.
Right, it's not going to get it done. But at the same time, like it's hard to see like you sweeping the Bears and the Lions.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
They didn't do it last year, right?
I don't think so.
Didn't the Lions beat the Vikings to end like their losing streak?
I think they did
in Detroit on a last play touchdown. So yeah, I don't think they're going quarterback. So unless a trade happens, no quarterbacks in the remainder of the first round. Then at the beginning of the second round, you have again Tampa Bay. I don't think they're going quarterback. Minnesota. Again, don't think it's happening. Tennessee, I would doubt it. Then you have the Giants, but I don't think they're going to go quarterback this year. I think they're waiting it out for next year. So then you have Houston. Do they go, well, maybe let's get a competition in here for Davis Mills? The Jets aren't, the Bears aren't. Then you have Seattle, back-to-back picks. Maybe they use one of those on Malik Willis. Desmond Ridder, Sam Howell.
Honestly, at that point, I feel like you might be silly not to take one on Malik Willis if he's still there. Because like I feel like his ceiling is high enough that it's worth the risk at this point. You know what I mean?
Right, and that's pick 40 and,
and
41.
especially if you're them and you're rebuilding. Like, you're rebuilding and everyone knows it.
Yeah, so I don't think we get past pick 41 without another quarterback going. The biggest question becomes, does some other team trade up?
Right.
And does Houston jump on one of those? But, I mean, realistically, what teams are in the quarterback market in this draft now that Pittsburgh's off the board? So, I mean, if we go just division-wise, Baltimore, and I'm talking about, like, one of the top-tier quarterbacks.
Right,
I don't mean, like,
right.
a developmental backup guy. All right, well, first, the Jaguars selection is going to get announced, so let's listen to that.
The first pick in the draft, Trevon Walker.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have traded the 27th pick to the Jacksonville Jaguars. With the 27th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Devin Lloyd.
No, there you go. Replace Miles Jack with Devin Lloyd. I was not mad, but like talked about how Miles Jack was a huge value for the Jaguars a few years ago, and now he's in Pittsburgh, and Devin Lloyd is making his way to Jacksonville. I think that's a good pick for Jacksonville. I don't have any qualms with that whatsoever. I said multiple times he was one of my favorite guys in the draft. So, anyways, back to what we were saying. What teams need quarterbacks? So in the AFC North, Pittsburgh just got one.
Yep.
Baltimore's not taking one. Right. Cleveland's now not taking one, and Cincinnati's not taking one. Right. In the AFC East, Buffalo's not taking one. New England's not taking one. The Jets aren't taking one. The Miami's not taking one. Right. South, AFC South. Right. You could maybe argue that Tennessee.
Yeah, but still,
would,
I feel
but
like
I don't think so.
No.
Indianapolis is an interesting one because they're riding it out with Matt Ryan, another veteran, after doing that for how many years now.
But you just traded picks to get Matt Ryan.
Right.
It seems counterintuitive to trade picks for a quarterback and use fewer remaining picks for a quarterback.
But if they're going to keep Matt Ryan around for two years or something, do you get a falling Malik Willis or Desmond Ridder and have him sit behind Matt Ryan?
Desmond Ridder is an interesting one too. As you fall, while I didn't think these guys were necessarily top of the first round or even first round guys, it's interesting.
So, but I mean, and Houston, obviously, we said Houston could possibly go there depending on how the boards fall. I do think they like Davis Mills.
Sorry, what also is interesting to me is, and if it was their guy, it was their guy, but like, it kind of feels like Pittsburgh could have tried to trade out of that, and maybe they did. Because a quarterback still hasn't gone. Right. You know, like they could have tried to trade back a few. You know, I don't know. They may have tried, but.
So the biggest thing I hate about Devin Lloyd is he wears number 0 in college, but he can't do that in the NFL. So that's one benefit. Stop.
I think they should all wear 0.
Jaguars not taking a quarterback. So honestly, there's 3 teams you could possibly see take a quarterback in the AFC South. Right. Although I don't think any of them are guaranteed, and I really think the odds of Tennessee doing it are very remote. Right. I would put Houston and Indianapolis above Tennessee.
Yes.
And then in the AFC West, none of them are taking quarterbacks. Denver's got him. Kansas City's got it. Oakland's got it. I mean, you think they just signed him to an extension, and the Chargers. So so what? We have 2 to 3 maybe in the entire AFC.
Right.
Now in the NFC, if we start out west, we know Seattle could possibly take one. San Francisco's not. The Rams, I don't think are going to
they just
after winning the Super Bowl. Yeah. And the Cardinals aren't unless they're working on a deal to get rid of Kyler Murray, which I don't think is happening.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, you feel like they would have traded that for picks.
Right.
You know.
So then in the North, it's not happening at Green Bay. It's not happening at Chicago. Detroit.
Yep.
Detroit could do it. And we said, I mean, you could maybe say Minnesota, possibly.
Right.
Because this might be Cousins' last year.
Right.
So we're already up to at least 3 in the NFC, and we're only halfway through. In the South, Atlanta, definitely. Carolina, definitely. Tampa Bay, I doubt it.
Yeah.
And New Orleans, maybe.
Right.
Maybe.
Right.
So there are teams out there. In the East, it's not going to be the Cowboys. It's not going to be the Eagles.
The
And I
Giants
just
and
don't see the
Commanders
Commanders or Giants doing it this year.
I agree.
So, but I still think there's about 6 NFC teams there that you could make a case for. You could honestly throw in a few more if it's the middle of the second round,
Right.
and there's a guy that you had rated in the
Right.
top 20, 25 picks, and you don't have a 2 to 3 year plan at quarterback. Maybe they jump on it.
Right.
So, I don't know. We'll see. So the Green Bay Packers pick is in at 28 overall in the first round, and we'll be listening into that shortly. Still no pick from the Patriots. Let's see if they hold on to that. That would be next at 29, followed by Kansas City, Cincinnati, and Minnesota. It'll definitely be interesting to see what happens with these quarterbacks, as it is every year. So your best available players left, depending on where you look at it, could be Andrew Booth, Devontae Wyatt, Dax Hill, Nakobe Dean.
The Eagles are going to win the NFC East.
George Karlaftis. I would love to see Jaquan Brisker or Ebiketie go here.
Here you go. Last year, Nick Sirianni inherited the Eagles depth chart. The leading wide receivers, based on production, were Travis Fulgham and Greg Ward. They now have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith.
It's a pretty good turnaround.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Here we go. And Allen Robinson, Chris Godwin, Deshaun Hamilton, KJ Hamler, and now Jahan Dotson. Penn Staters are starting to pop up at wide receiver in the NFL.
Very good.
That more than Walter Payton. Named in his honor, the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award, presented by Nationwide, is the most prestigious award a player can receive.
Just Whitworth.
We are proud to have Andrew Whitworth, the 2021 Walter Payton.
How cool was that audio when he sat on the field with his kids and was like, that was
the last game, yeah.
And how cool was it for those cameramen and stuff to not
spoil it?
Right. They filmed it, but they didn't go and be
he announced it a few
weeks
weeks later, right?
Yeah, it was a couple weeks later. It was yeah.
I am very humbled and grateful to stand before you as the 2021 Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year. I would love to thank the NFL, the Payton family, and Nationwide for everything they do to support players as we try to make positive impacts in our communities. When I look back over my time in the NFL and my career over 16 years and a Super Bowl champion, one of the most rewarding things about it was the platform I was able to build to help change people's lives with a lot of other teammates across the NFL and people in organizations. And I want to take this opportunity to challenge the players of the NFL and encourage you and the prospects of this NFL draft. Take advantage of
Eagles wide receiver A.J. Brown gets a 4-year extension, $100 million.
Did he?
Yeah.
Already?
$57 million guaranteed.
But shows who you are on
Figured it was coming.
to make an impact.
Josh Tucker again. Malik Willis is still available for the Packers at pick 28.
Andrew, great man. We're so proud of you. With the 28th
Oh, here we go.
in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers select Devontae Wyatt.
There you go. There's the Georgia defensive lineman.
Georgia.
I know a lot of people keep waiting for this wide receiver, Rich, but it's just not there. The value's not there. I think.
Yeah, so we talked about that. The wide receivers that were going in the first round have already gone. I don't think another one is going to go. Now you're down to just, 4 picks left in the first round. So Devontae Wyatt makes a lot of sense for the Packers there. That was their second pick of the first round. 4 picks left to go. Will the Patriots make a selection here? I'm glad that Devin Lloyd is not available for them. That makes me all kinds of happy about that. N'Kobe Dean, though, he was one of my favorites, so we talked about him over the last few weeks while we were playing. And if we brought up the draft, N'Kobe Dean is always one that sticks out there. I certainly wouldn't want them to take Ebiketie or Brisker either. I mean, I'd like to see another Penn Stater go in the first round, but boy, I don't. Oh, that's right. The Packers took Quay Walker, so Walker and Wyatt were reunited back together. So 4 Packers. Hey, they both get to wear the G on their helmet again.
Yes,
for the first 4 to 5 years of their career. 4 Georgia defenders already taken in the first round with 4 picks to go. You could see Lewis Scenes.
Somebody said
Patriots pick is in, so they are not trading.
The Eagles, the last 2 years, have taken maybe the most dominant player from the national championship team. The Eagles have drafted the last 2 years. And
that's one way to do it, huh?
I'm okay with that. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Pick is in as we go to commercial.
So the Patriots actually perform better defensively, but I feel like all the guys I've been singling out for them have been defensively. I don't know where they would go offensively because I feel like most of the offensive guys are all gone.
Right.
That were rated that highly.
Right.
I think the highest rated offensive player left on this big board that I'm looking at is Isaiah Spiller. Maybe. I don't feel like that's a very Patriots pick.
No, not at all.
Then a few of the quarterbacks, which we know that they're not going to take. Again, they're not going to go Kenny Walker. Could they go receiver? Maybe. I mean, I think their receiver acquisition was from the Dolphins. So I feel like they're going to go defense here. Could they go cornerback Andrew Booth? Could they go defensive back safety Dax Hill from Michigan? Again, N'Kobe Dean, I feel like would be an interesting Patriots player with his versatility. Or could they go Ajabo?
I feel like that would be a very Patriots pick.
It's unfortunate what happened to him in his workout and pro day, but he is recovering and likely to miss this entire season. I don't know that would make Patriots faithful happy that they would take someone that isn't likely to play at all this year when they want to be competing. But I don't know that the value is there to add a piece around Mac Jones. And if they think Ajabo is the best available, they could go that way. Although I definitely favor probably N'Kobe Dean, maybe George Karlaftis. I feel like that's a very Patriots pick too.
Yes.
Either of those to have the pass rushing linebacker edge guys. So we'll see what it is, but the Patriots added Devontae Parker. I feel like that was probably the biggest wide receiver get they're gonna have. So.
Yeah. And
they signed Jabril Peppers.
Yeah.
Remember when he was supposed to be a Heisman, like he was up for the Heisman?
Yeah.
And then he went to the Browns, and of course they ended his career because that's what the Browns do.
And they got Malcolm Butler back.
Yeah, that's super weird. Ty Montgomery. Remember when Ty Montgomery was the Green Bay running back?
I didn't realize they lost Chase Winovich.
Yeah, what happened to Winovich? I didn't know that. I was just gonna say maybe they can add Ajabo with Winovich.
Talk about a guy who they got and kind of burst onto the scene, but then it never really panned out. I feel like he kind of was what they.
And Van Noy's gone, so they signed Karras and Van Noy, the center
they definitely
linebacker.
Could be taking a linebacker.
Went to Miami for a year in 2020, back to New England in 2021. Then Karras went to protect Joe Burrow now. He's now in Cincinnati. I don't know where Van Noy or Winovich went, though. So we'll have to see. The pick for the Patriots is in. It just hasn't been announced yet by...
I know this will seem random, but those hotels are all so big in Vegas.
Oh, yeah, I know.
It's just insane.
So I'm looking up Chase Winovich right now. Oh, so he plays for the Cleveland Browns.
Of course he does.
Where players' careers go to die. So he played at Jefferson Hill, or Thomas Jefferson.
Yes.
in Western
Yep.
PA.
Here we go.
He was traded to the Browns for Mac Wilson.
Oh, okay.
So I missed that one completely. So here we go. We should be getting the Patriots pick shortly.
Here we go.
Defensive players. So here's the Patriots pick in Vegas.
With the 29th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots select Cole Strange, guard, Chattanooga.
Okay, even a more Patriots pick than.
Wow, I thought Cole Strange, he was one of my favorite mid-round guys. I thought you might get him in the 3rd round. The Patriots.
Okay, yeah, that one's out of nowhere because there were definitely a few offensive linemen that I thought were gonna go before him. 82nd.
Tells you everything you need to know when they don't have a camera for the guy to show his reaction, right? Like,
Right.
Not a New England pick, guys. Look at these folks. They have no idea.
82nd by both Draft Tech and Draft Network. He was just picked at 29th. 29th.
Shaq Mason is in Tampa.
In front of
Michael Onwenu, who they got out of Michigan, who looks like a guard, has played better at tackle. Do they
Haley would be happy. Chattanooga.
yes, yes, I thought of that when I saw
Very,
it.
that's who she had picking to win the NCAA men's tournament. So there you go. Interesting. Has everyone in the production crew scrambling to find the video that they
Yes.
probably didn't need until the 3rd or 4th round.
Yes.
Is what they were expecting. So not to diss on Cole Strange, who we don't know, and I haven't seen
Right.
any film of him. But going by the draft nicks and the supposed experts out there, this is a wild overreach, which means he'll turn into a 10-year All-Pro because that's just the way it happens. We're actually right back here with the Kansas City Chiefs selection. I'm glad they're keeping things moving here.
With the 30th pick in the 2022
Wow, they really
NFL
are
Draft,
keeping.
Dax Hill,
the Kansas City Chiefs select George
Karlaftis.
Yeah.
It's a good pick for them.
Yes.
So they got McDuffie and Karlaftis,
Yeah.
two of my favorites. So good pick. Yeah, you got to fix that defense, right? They'll figure out the offense when you have Mahomes and Andy Reid and still Eric Bieniemy.
A lot of people thought they might package these picks to go up and get a wide receiver. I think they feel just fine about their
They added 2 big defenders. So that's great for the Chiefs. So now we're up to the Super Bowl runner-up, Cincinnati Bengals. They obviously need to figure out a way to protect Joe Burrow. They've addressed that. I think they signed at least 3 offensive linemen that could all be starters this year, including Ted Karras, who we talked about was in New England this past year. They also, Lyle Collins went there, right, to Cincinnati?
Yeah.
And they added another offensive lineman, offensive guard, I believe. So what could Cincinnati do? Trying to see what the needs could be for the Bengals. Tight end and cornerback. So Andrew Booth is still out there. They could also possibly use a safety. I think did they franchise Jesse Bates? I think they need to get him a contract. If not, he could possibly be gone next year. So Dax Hill is a possibility.
It's not draft related. I just Embiid giving it to the crowd in Toronto.
So yeah, that's probably the direction you'd expect, though.
Yeah.
So now we've had two of the biggest, what we want to say are reaches right now, were for offensive linemen by the Cowboys and Patriots. So there you have that. But Andrew Booth is still out there. Dax Hill, Nakobe Dean, Ojabo, again, though he would necessarily require a redshirt year in the NFL.
Yeah, but I'd love for Ojabo to slip, and Eagles don't pick for a while yet in the 2nd round, but I'd love for him to kind of fall to the Eagles or like someone like Brisker.
I was just gonna say Ebikadi, or more likely Jaquan Brisker or Lewis Seen, the safety from Georgia.
Yeah.
Are all possibilities for the
Right.
Cincinnati Bengals here. I don't think they needed tight end because Uzama went to the Jets. in free agency. I don't think there's any tight ends worthy of a first-round pick this year. The best available is probably Trey McBride, but I think he's more likely a second or even a third-round player. So I would expect them to go defense here. Most likely a cornerback or safety. I think Hill, Brisker, or Seen makes a lot of sense. But like I said, Andrew Booth is also out there. I don't know how long they're gonna take the opportunity to make this pick, but we are very close to the end, which is good because I am tired. I'm ready to wrap this up as we approach 11:30 here on the East Coast. Did they say if the pick was even in yet?
I haven't seen that it was in. No.
Okay, so we're just waiting on the Cincinnati Bengals to make their selection. Hopefully that will be soon. And then we'll just wrap up things with the Minnesota Vikings. And the pick is in for the Bengals. So all that's left then is Minnesota. I don't know where they're gonna go. Minnesota's. It could be one of the safeties that we just mentioned.
Right.
Don't think it'll be offensive line. Yeah. I favor linebacker or defensive back for both Cincinnati and Minnesota. So any of those guys we mentioned, Nakobe Dean, Lewis Seen are the two Georgia guys that could be added to an incredible first round of the draft for the Georgia defense. I would love to see Ebiketie or Brisker go to Cincinnati or Minnesota to get a Penn Stater here at the end of round 2 or end of round 1.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just looking at some of the reactions to the Eagles stuff, and they're like, the fact that Howie was able to get 2 first-rounders, they were able to take those 2 first-rounders and get a defensive tackle that they said they really wanted and an impact guy. Not impacted defensive tackle is different, and it's not as flashy, but from the franchise that has kind of built its defense around Fletcher Cox, like there's a lot of potential. And they're not the same guy, but there's a lot of potential there if you get the right guy at defensive tackle.
Yep.
At the same time, they were able to turn that other first-round pick into A.J. Brown and still keep their second and third round pick, a second round and third round pick this year.
And both first next year.
Right.
Which, if Hurts fails, you can you might be in position to use one of them as an early pick,
right,
or you can package them to move up for an early pick.
Right. So,
I mean, better scenario would be Hurts plays like a top 10 quarterback, and you can use both those picks to fill in any gaps that are still there.
Imagine that. If Hurts really grabs it this year and is like, no, this is my job, and then you find yourself in a position where you've got your quarterback, you've got your wide receivers, you've got young talent, and 2 first-round picks.
Which would probably all need to be used on defense, would be my guess.
Yeah. So then you're taking probably a linebacker. Maybe.
No, that's not happening. Come on, you know better than that.
But you
clearly
can
it's going to be a defensive back.
What I need is the Saints to be bad next year. The Saints to be bad. If the Saints could be really bad, that would be fantastic.
Well, you never know what's happening with Alvin Kamara.
Right.
For someone who has him in fantasy, what's happening with Alvin Kamara?
Dude, who knows?
So we should be ready here, rolling with the Cincinnati Bengals pick when they come back from commercial. We should be ready to go for the Bengals, and then we've got the Vikings, and then we are out of here.
My sister rode that Ferris wheel, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It takes like an hour to go around, I think.
Because they just keep loading people, or?
You load, but it just goes real slow.
Mm.
But it's super high, and you're going there. It's like a room. It's not like just like a regular. It's kind of crazy.
I can't imagine.
Someone could trade for him.
I guess if someone's trading with Minnesota.
Or Minnesota takes him.
Well, yeah, I mean, we said they were one of those teams that's like, maybe. I mean, it's possible. It's possible. Here we go. We can get the Bengals pick. I would say defensive back.
Pick of the AFC champion Bengals.
With the 31st pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the AFC champion Cincinnati Bengals select Daxton Hill.
There it is.
Defensive back, Michigan.
That's a good pick.
All right. So Dax Hill is the second Wolverine selected in the first round tonight. Aiden Hutchinson 2 and Daxton Hill.
Heading to the state with that team down south.
Gonna be playing his football in Cincinnati.
I thought there was a chance they might go to another Wolverine here with David Ojabo. They go with Daxton Hill. They've always loved Big Ten players there with the Cincinnati Bengals. And Daxton Hill, coach, he can play in the slot. You can play him up high. He can do a lot of different things.
All about versatility. Quick, explosive, can cover, can blitz. Really, really good football player.
Joel, I know you saw a ton of this guy in the Big Ten. What was your take on him?
Well, he can do everything, and I thought one of his best traits was his ability to tackle in space. Guys, he's got long arms, he's tough to block, he can cover one-on-one.
Pairing him with Jesse Bates and then maybe having him take over for Jesse Bates is a possibility.
Yeah. It's a good pick for them, and the pick is
Vikings pick is in, so yeah, it's a good pick for the Bengals. I mean, I'm not a Michigan man, but
right, I agree. And I would have liked to see Brisker go in the first round, but
Whenever year when I'm watching tape of these guys that are going to be drafted, there's always a guy that jumps out at me.
so I don't feel like this is going to be a Penn Stater here. It could be though. It could be Brisker,
right?
Because how long has Harrison Smith been there?
Right.
I feel like Brisker is more like Harrison Smith. He's not a free guy. He's got to be a strong guy, and that's Harrison's spot. So unless they're preparing to move on from Harrison Smith, I don't think this would be Brisker. I don't know where they sit in terms of rusher, though we did talk about them signing the Vikings signing Zadarius Smith. Kirk Cousins is there, and he signed an extension through 2023, so he is there for 2 more years. But he had a great year last year, 33 touchdowns and just 7 interceptions. His best, probably one of his best, if not his best year in the pros, at least with the Vikings. And they have Justin Jefferson, who is just insanely talented. Now the Eagles can finally forget about that now that they have Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown.
So every time I see the Vikings fans do the skull chant, I just think about them meeting on the Rocky Steps to do it. And then
got blasted.
Right.
Absolutely housed by Nick Foles.
Yes.
So.
And actually, I think of that video of the Eagles fan. I was like,
you go ahead.
Birds!
Oh, yes.
Yes. Everything Joey loves about sports.
Completely. 100%.
Oh, man. I hope they take Malik Willis just because that would be interesting.
That would be interesting. That would definitely make things interesting.
Is that you?
It could be. It could be. It's a Mandalorian helmet. So.
I haven't seen a single episode.
Oh. That shouldn't surprise me. You haven't seen all of the Star Wars movies, right? There's 11 of them. There's 11 live-action Star Wars movies. 9 in the main saga, and then Rogue One and Solo.
I think I have seen them all.
You have?
I can't tell you what happened. There are a number of them that I've seen one time, and some of that was 20-some years ago. This is not me trolling. I do.
No,
I
know.
Do that,
I know.
But yeah,
The Mandalorian's really good.
Right. No, I it's not a principle thing. This isn't Avatar where I'm I'll show them. I won't watch it.
The problem is, and I went through this with Kelly, I don't think it's as good if you haven't seen some of the other stuff.
Right. See, so
and not as much the first season, but the second season for sure.
There's still a lot of people there in Vegas. Although, it's only... It's 8:30 there.
Right.
That's something I didn't realize when I got on a plane and went to Vegas, that it was 3 hours.
Oh, I took the red eye home when I came home from Vegas. I didn't sleep.
When I was in Vegas, a buddy took the red eye home, and went straight to work at the hospital.
Oh, I came home and slept.
Yeah.
So,
I was there for an NFL playoff weekend, and it was really cool.
So my flight left Las Vegas at between 10 and 11 p.m. local time. So it's 1 to 2 a.m. here, and then it's a 4-hour flight.
Yeah.
So I landed at, it was like 6:15 in the morning, and then I had to drive home by myself.
Our buddy Adam sent us a great meme. You may have seen it already, but you gotta see it.
With the 32nd pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings select Lewis Seen.
There he is.
Yep.
So we talk about defensive backs for both of them, and they did both go safety. Dax Hill and Lewis Seen. So Georgia gets another defender in the first round with the last pick. So there we go.
It's almost like they were pretty good last year.
Yeah, right. Rich Eisen goes, and Seen.
Of course he does.
Oh,
Rich Eisen is really good at his job.
Yeah, he is. He's definitely a highlight. So, wow. So we did it. Over 3 hours straight, 3 hours and 20-plus minutes. We talked about the entire first round. We sprinkled in a whole bunch of stuff. Hopefully there wasn't too much dead air sprinkled in there. I think we did a pretty good job. We covered a few things, especially at the beginning. Talked a little Sixers, commented on all the picks, what we thought was going to happen. First round completed. Only one Penn Stater, but that's not a huge surprise.
No,
we said at the beginning, at least one, maybe two. I doubt three. I would think Brisker and Ebiketie would be called in the second, at worst by the mid-third.
Right.
So it could be a big day tomorrow. Rounds 2 and 3 get underway tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. I will be hopefully paying attention to that off and on, probably following more on my phone. I doubt I can dedicate 3 or 4 more hours by myself down here watching it. This isn't 2007 anymore where I could just watch the entire draft forever. Although actually when I was working on Draft Tech, I literally had to for my job. So I did do that for a number of years, but I was getting paid to do it. So not so much right now, unless anyone out there listening would like to pay for us to watch the NFL draft. That would be wonderful. But it's super late. If anyone tuned in the whole time, you're crazy.
Yeah, what were you thinking?
But we appreciate it. So we hope everyone enjoyed the first round of the NFL draft and our coverage. Justin and I are going to be on the show again this Sunday. We're going to finish our Dynasty Year 3 in NCAA Football 14. And then we won't be around for the next few weeks. Then it'll take 3 weeks off. We won't be back until May 22nd, as I will be away and there are things happening. So show May 1st, then show May 22nd, and then we'll update the schedule at that time again. But it's going to be hit or miss probably until sometime in July. But appreciate you tuning in. Thanks so much. And we'll be back again in just a few days.
That's a wrap on this episode of the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show, brought to you by Mays Sandwich Shop. Woo-hoo! You can watch each weekly episode live on Facebook, Periscope, or YouTube. Be sure to like, follow, or subscribe to the show on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play. You can also rate and review us on many of these platforms as well. We'd love to hear from you. Send your emails to the Mays Sandwich Shop inbox at joemaysandjraff@gmail.com. The Joe Mays and J-Raff Show is a part of the JMNJR Radio Network, home to other productions such as the Bulldog Hour, Tangents with Friends, and Nat Chats with Dad. Until next time.